Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, with a very, very special episode of the world of gaming. It's the community special. It's something I'm really excited to do here today because I always said the world of gaming is a podcast from and with the community. And I truly mean that. You guys, the community, drives this podcast and everything I do on the channel. It's because of the interactions with you guys that I do this. And so I thought, let's bring some people to the panel that usually don't do podcasts, that just want to try this live show thing out and just talk some gaming with me and the community. And that's why I have the absolute honor to invite four very passionate gentlemen here today. First of all, I want to introduce Dave Ramos. Man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Box. I'm nervous, but I think we were chatting before. It's excitement, nervous, and I'm ready to get going.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You don't have to be nervous. You can be excited. We have a very awesome community here, and I have no doubt that you guys will be just fine. Just fine. We are just five gamers hanging out, talking about games, and we have some awesome things to talk about. So I'm looking forward to that. And I want to also welcome Rhetri. Welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited. We got a lot of good topics, and I hope I don't piss anyone off today because I got some hot takes.
I love it.
Let's get into it.
Love it. Yeah, man, it's gonna be awesome. And Peter, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm really good. And again, just echo what the other guys have said. Absolutely great to be invited to do this. Watched your videos for quite some time, so it's a little bit surreal to be now sat guesting on one of them. But yeah, we've got some good topics. Looking forward to some good discussions with all you chaps and with the community. I think we've got some questions as well. So yeah, really good.
Awesome, man. And yeah, I'm absolutely honored you come on. We have so many interactions on Twitter and everything, and so really looking forward to chat with you. And Astreis, last but no way least, welcome. And how are you doing, man?
I'm amazing, man. Thank you so much for having me. I've been a big fan of yours since you were on Boomstick's podcast. Since like 2020, probably. I always used to call you the best up and coming podcaster and content creator, but you're not up and coming anymore. You're here.
Oh yeah, I'm here, and I wouldn't be here without the support from all of you guys, honestly. So thank you so much. And yeah, again, let's have some fun here today. So in chat, people, if you are in any way, shape, or form interested in these four amazing gentlemen here, just click in the description of this show on YouTube, and you will find their links to their Twitters. So you can chat them up there and probably continue the conversations we're gonna have here today. So what I want to do is something a little bit different than the usual show format, of course. I want to take the time briefly to introduce these four gamers. I want to talk a little bit about their gaming history, and of course, I also want to involve you guys in chat. So when I post some of the questions to the panel, I also want to hear your thoughts. So just type your answers in chat, and we will read a couple of them across the show. So, guys, I want to get to know your gaming history. Where did gaming start for you? What was the first gaming experience, the first console, or the first PC you had? Let's hear it. Rhetri, where did it start for you?
I know I look young, right? But I'm old. So Atari 2600 is where I started.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Frogger, Pitfall, Space Invaders, all that stuff. So
sweet.
Yeah, that's where I started.
Cool. Yeah, my dad had one, and he wasn't too happy when my brother and I played on his Atari. But yeah, that's probably the first gaming experience I had as well. So, Dave, where did it start for you?
Yeah, so I was the youngest of like my family, and I learned how to play video games from like my cousins, and I just learned very quickly I wasn't as good at Mario I probably could have never beaten Contra without the cheat codes, but I did learn that like Duck Hunt and like Marble Madness on the NES, that's where I found I was like, I'm good at this. And if
Awesome.
I told you the amount of hours I put into like Pilot Wings on Super NES, I was like, yeah,
Oh.
that's where I started.
Yeah, nice. Oh, the Super NES. Yeah. I have so many fond memories of that. I still have mine. There's this one Super Nintendo game called Secret of Evermore. It's one of my all-time favorites. To this day I play it once a year. I hooked that Super Nintendo back up to the 4K screen. It looks horrible, but I just love that game, man. Yeah, awesome stuff. Peter, where did it start for you?
So the first game I remember playing it was on the ZX Spectrum, and it was The Hobbit. So my dad brought a ZX Spectrum home, and this cassette, and this little tape deck that attached to it. And after 30 minutes of loading, I had the wonders of The Hobbit, and it was actually fantastic because I read the books, and then suddenly I was in this situation where I could tell it what I wanted to do next. And that's the first game I remember playing. Yeah, absolutely. It's probably what sparked everything. After that, I was like, okay, so this gaming thing is kind of something because I'm in control, and that's kind of where it all sort of went from there.
Sweet. Unfortunately, I never had a Spectrum, but it sounds awesome, man. Awesome. Astreis, where did it start for you?
Super Metroid on the SNES. Yeah, I remember going over to my grandmother's house sometimes, and my uncle that still lived with her would show it to me, and I remember that first level where Samus would lower down into the spaceship, and then you had to fight through some platforming and stuff, but then it would explode at the end, and you had to race back to that platform to go back up, and you had to do it on a time limit, and my palms were sweaty when I finished that. And I spent my entire life chasing that experience again. Gaming's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is a fantastic hobby. It's my favorite hobby for sure. Yeah, for me, like I said, my dad had an Atari, and I remember playing Pitfall. I remember playing. There was a Batman game on the Atari that I really enjoyed. But yeah, my very own first gaming console was actually a handheld, and it was the OG Game Boy. At the time, my mom took care of my grandma, and she lived like 2 cities away, and we drove there every day, and so she got me a Game Boy for those long drives each and every day. And that's why I always say, for me, it started on the Game Boy, and then of course with the NES, and shortly after that the Super Nintendo. Yeah, from there on out, the rest is history. So let's see where did people in chat start? We have James. He says he started on the Amstrad CPC 464 with a color monitor. I have not even heard of that.
That was old.
That's awesome, man. Bellantone says main ink minor, 20 minutes loading the tape. Sweet, man, sweet. Mr. Joanna Dark says he loved the NES Batman game. Yeah, absolutely. Mass hole in television. So very cool. Waller Weasel started on the NES. Yeah, so I see we are all not the super youngsters, but we're still enjoying the hobby. So, and since we have played for a while, there are probably some games that just stuck with you. So I want to hear, Dave, what are some of the games that stood out over the years to you? What are some of your favorite games and gaming experiences?
Yeah, so I thought about this, and Call of Duty is not on my list, even though I've probably spent so many hours back in my younger days playing that game, getting competitive. But Diablo, I think I bought the Diablo 1 strategy guide, and there was the affixes, and I just was I was so focused. I thought that was so cool to know when you get a drop, you can try to predict like how cool of a drop this is. Like the bear would knock a subject back. So that was something. And still today, I think Diablo is just one of my favorite IPs. Overwatch, I'm a forever team player. I'm on this podcast, not so much that I want to be a podcaster long term. It's like I enjoy spending time with others. And Overwatch is a nice multiplayer where you can build a nice team.
Yeah.
and you can team chemistry. That's one. I've probably put over 200 hours in that game. And then Telltale games are ones that I like. I do like the episodic, nice digestible bits. The wife can watch. We can kind of choose together. That's enjoyable for me. Bring her into my video game passion. So Diablo, Overwatch, Telltale games. Those are the ones that stick with me at my age now.
Very nice. You get some extra points for mentioning Diablo. So
Yes.
absolutely awesome, man. So you're probably looking forward to Diablo 4, and
Yes,
once
sir.
that comes out, I'll hit you up, and we gotta go up there. Rhetri, let's hear
Yes.
some of your favorite gaming experiences.
All right, so this is always like the toughest question ever. So I did a little mix of old with some new. For me, what kind of set it off was Super Mario Brothers 3. I just was blown away by that. And of course, Halo 1 and Halo 2. And it's been Xbox pretty much all the way through after that. It just sucked me in. Bioshock I love so much. I'm also an Overwatch guy. So Dave, hit me up, man. Overwatch, I easily put over 200 hours in that as well. And some of the newer games, like this year's actually been really good for me. I thought this year was going to kind of stink, but Elden Ring was my first real Souls game. I mean, I played like Ninja Gaiden, so technically not really, but for that area, like Elden Ring blew me away. It's the best game I've played in a very long time since Skyrim, in my opinion. So that one is high. It better win Game of the Year. I'm just saying that right now.
It probably will.
Yeah,
it probably will.
I just started playing It Takes Two.
Very
now
good
I understand why that won. Holy crap, is that game good?
That is
it's
really
so good.
Yeah.
Like AA? Nah, man, that's AAA to me. So
absolutely, yeah. My wife really isn't a gamer, but it's a game that pulled her in as well.
Yeah, and it'll test your marriage for sure. No, go this way. You're doing it wrong.
We didn't make it past where you had to throw the nails into the spinning wood circles and then catch them with the hammer.
Yeah,
she gave up after that.
Very good. It's also some bonus points for mentioning Super Mario. Absolutely, fantastic. Astreis, let's hear what games stood out to you over the years.
Man, I was such a big Gears head back in my late high school and early college. I put so many hours into Gears 2, playing the campaign over and over and over again. And I had buddies that I would play multiplayer with every night. We would do either competitive or horde. Like that was just one of the most complete, satisfying experiences. I still love hearing that sound when their head explodes when you shoot them with a torque bow or a sniper rifle. It's like somebody smashed a window and blew up a watermelon all at the same time, and it's so amazing.
Absolutely. I always say like the first time you land someone, it is you will never forget that. Sweet. What else stood out? Gears.
Most recently I have to double back for Souls. I know Rhetri said it. I got told I should dig into Souls games in January of 2020, and I hated it at first. And actually, I don't know if you guys know Fighting Cowboy, but he has a 100% completion guide for every Souls game. And so I went in there and did his Dark Souls Remastered, kind of would just watch 15 or 30 seconds and then go and try to do exactly what he did, just to help get into it and get the hang of it. And now I'm convinced if Souls games aren't for you, that's one thing, but if you've never tried it, there's a moment, like an aha, that it just kind of makes sense to you. And after that, I played every single one of them. I got through Sekiro and Bloodborne and all 3 Dark Souls in time to play Elden Ring. I just binged because I couldn't get enough.
That's cool. That's awesome, man. Yeah. absolutely fantastic choices from all of you gentlemen. Let's see what the chat has to say here. BioShock came up quite
I see lots
frequently.
of love for BioShock in the chat. I love it.
Yeah. I have a confession to make. I have never played BioShock.
Ooh.
Oh
I
man,
don't know. I don't know why.
Your
Boxenberger,
first playthrough is
would you
gonna be
kindly
your
go and play
best.
BioShock?
Please.
Yeah, people always tell me that, but I kind of, by the when the first one came out, I don't know why I didn't play it, and then the second came out, and I didn't have the money to buy the first or the second one at the time, and then I just accepted that I probably missed a good a good IP, but yeah, one day I
2007
will.
was a good year, man.
Yeah,
it holds up so good. Did it get backwards compatibility enhancements? Does it have auto HDR or
You got an Xbox One
no doubt.
release. The BioShock Remastered came out on Xbox One, so I think they all run at like 1080 60 or something like that.
Oh, that ain't bad. Box it. They hold up really good.
They do.
Yeah, I've seen the collection is on sale right now, so.
And
BioShock
we're getting a
1.
movie too.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
It's probably
true.
going to stink, but we're getting one.
That's true. So what else do people in chat like? Wandering Dutch is also in love with It Takes Two. I know that. I know his passion for that. Mr. Joanna Dark says, now I lost it. The Metal Gear franchise changed his gaming life. Favorite of all time. BioShock got worse. Bio Infinite was too linear. So we kicked off a BioShock conversation here. Very, very good.
Mr. Joanna Dark says to stop playing Paw Patrol Boxenberger.
Yeah,
And Peppa Pig.
I'm not stopping. I'm having so much fun with the kids. So
I know you're those easy 1,000 gamer score.
oh, Paw Patrol isn't that easy. Well, it is easy, but it takes actually quite a long
Peppa
time.
Pig.
Peppa Pig was the one that is
Oh, that's right. It was like a 45-minute 1,000 gamer score. I got the shame. I'm going to do it.
It was all over my timeline. On Twitter, I was like, what happened? There's just Peppa Pig everywhere. That was a really genius move, then putting that on Game Pass, because
absolutely.
that
game would have never gotten. Yeah. It's what I always call the Game Pass effect. It's like you have that viral effect from games dropping into Game Pass and people just talking on social about it. And it's the best advertisement you can get.
Next gen, baby.
Absolutely.
Next gen Peppa Pig.
Mr. Joanna Dark says Peppa Pig is Gotti, and Jacob Novik says Ratchet and Clank is my all-time favorite franchise.
Yeah.
That's a very good one. Jack and Dexter is forgotten while focusing on The Last of Us, and sadly, like Cooper 2. Yeah.
I think there's something to that. I'm sorry, Rhetri. I just jumped on you, buddy.
No. Go.
I was just going to say about Jack and Daxter. I think there's no way they're not at least talking about that after how good Ratchet and Clank have done.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would love to see Jack and Daxter back. That would be cool. Yeah, great. So, maybe I just give briefly my highlights. So, probably depending on the day you ask me, I give different answers. But I already mentioned Secret of Evermore. I also want to mention Ocarina of Time. Zelda Ocarina of Time is just, I have so much nostalgia for that game. One of the best games ever made. I also want to mention Red Dead Redemption 1. I really thought this is truly a masterpiece. Like the second one was fantastic, no doubt, but like everyone knew the ending at the end of Act 2, and that ending of Red Dead 1 just hit you. So that's one. Skyrim, of course. Batman Arkham City is also very, very high up on my list, and of course The Witcher. Especially The Witcher 3, of course.
I've played that so many times. And I still enjoy when you talk about playing it again, because it's one of those games I need to go back and finish. So I hear you.
I have like 4.5 full playthroughs, including all DLC.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's because those DLC are like as long as the full game, right? They're like 20 or 30 hour deals.
together definitely. Yeah.
Oh my
and with all
gosh.
the side quests, I think like each playthrough is at least 100, 120 hours. I did one of those playthroughs even on the Switch. Like prior to the pandemic, I used to travel a lot for business reasons, and the Switch was probably my most played system for a while. So yeah, I just love The Witcher. It's fantastic. So to wrap this up, and I also want to hear, of course, the thoughts of the chat again. Favorite console of all time? I have bought like more than 45 different consoles in my life. So I have quite the list to choose from, but I want to hear from you, Peter. Let's hear you first.
That's really tough. If we're talking sort of nostalgia, then I would say probably go 360. It was just the right time in my life. So I was at that sort of age where I was just gaming a lot, didn't have much more going on, and it just had some absolutely killer games. So, Halo, obviously, I played Halo and Halo 2, Halo 3 religiously. So when Halo 3 came out on the 360, that launch, I remember I went out, bought the special edition with the helmet. I moved out of the family home. My brother did the same, and we probably spent the next 3 months playing co-op Halo, multiplayer Halo. You've got games like Oblivion, Gears of War. It's just there was absolute bangers on the 360 gen. What I would say, and I know that normally answers to this question are sort of older consoles, but the Series X has been really, really good since launch for me because it's kind of hit. So I've got an 8-year-old daughter, so there was like a couple of years there, 13, 14, 15, I didn't get much gaming done. Yeah. So I bought the Series X, and with its like all the backwards compatibility and all the rest of it, I've been just spending so much time going back to the games I missed, and they look better and they play better, and I've been sort of using Game Pass to try things that I wouldn't normally have tried. My daughter's getting into gaming now using Game Pass as well on the Xbox. So it's kind of, that's also a bit like the 360 hit at a really good time where I've got a bit more time for gaming again. It's just offering me these really good experiences. So 360 and then probably Series X.
I'll allow it. The Series X is a pretty awesome console. No doubt for many of the reasons you already mentioned, like the backwards compatibility. I always say that seamless experience that you have right now, like going back and forth from PC to console, and then I play like 30 minutes on xCloud on my phone in bed before I go to sleep, and it just works. This seamless ecosystem is so good, and the console itself, fantastic. Great choice. Astreis, let's hear from you.
Well, I think I'm going to double down on 360. I really fight between that and PS2. I had a PS2 for a really long time, but I think like going back, I really remember like Tony Hawk and Guitar Hero, and that might be it. But my 360, like just the rate at which we got games in that generation was unbelievable. Like, can you imagine like we get a whole trilogy in a generation anymore? Like, we got 3 Gears games.
Mass Effect.
All the Mass Effect games.
Can you imagine like 2 Elder Scrolls games? And then we had this entire generation of the Xbox One and PS4, and we didn't get a single one, and we're probably not getting one this one generation.
No, definitely 2028 Elder Scrolls 6.
Launch game for the next console generation. It's fantastic choice. Dave, you're smiling.
Yeah, I'm smiling because you guys are almost convincing me to switch my choice to 360. I won that console. I had it on pre-order, and a friend of mine at work, he didn't, and so I gave him mine when I won my 360 from a Pepsi bottle.
I thought you were going to say Taco Bell.
Every 10 minutes. That was every 10 minutes you get that. And Taco Bell had the codes too. And so when I won that, I gave my pre-order away. So right from the very start, you got the console like 2 days early with like a T-shirt. It was pretty sweet. But I'm going to stick to my guns, and it's the Series console, which I actually thought I'd be alone on this because like usually nostalgia plays such a hard part.
Yeah.
But Series console for me is kind of bringing me back to that nostalgia. It's like the combination of Game Pass and a Series console reminds me of like going back to the video game store, laying down $5 and getting a game, I've played before, but I had to return, or I've never played before. It's like I get to do that now from the comfort of my couch. And then for some flattery here, you ready for this? It's like we have a great community. They have creators like Ubox. We have ILP and Boom, and then you get all this information from like Twitter and YouTube, where you have people talking about the great games. And it's like a water cooler effect. You call it the Game Pass effect. It's like kind of the same thing we were just talking about a moment ago, Box. And it's like I think Game Pass and a Series console it even bests my childhood nostalgia. And that's saying something, because, back then I was limited to like one game at a time, but for better, for worse, it's like we have hundreds now. And I really do think we're in the golden age of gaming. And man, Game Pass is like a 17-lane highway to like so many games right now.
Yeah. I love that answer, especially with the community part. It's a fantastic argument because gaming has changed from you just playing games and maybe playing games with a friend on the couch to really having those daily conversations about it and just being part of gaming on different level.
It feels good, right?
It just feels so good. Yeah. I made so many friends online, not just during because I do content, just by playing games. I met them online. We play games together, and now we talk on a daily basis, and that's just something else. We didn't have that like 10, 15 years ago. Absolutely. I love that answer, man. Fantastic. Rhetri, what's your...
Same. I thought I was going to be by myself too I was picking the Series X because I come from an engineering background, so I love the technology. I'm big into resolution, frames per second, the SSD, quick resume. All that kind of blows me away. But my secondary answer was the 360, just because of nostalgia. I mean, like I was saying, 2007, there's so many good games that came out in the 360 generation. And it was the first time that I felt a real... like Dave was saying, like community built around it with, being on the internet and going on Call of Duty and everyone just swearing at each other. So that was fun.
Yeah,
but
true.
Well, there was such a thing as Xbox Live on the OG Xbox, right? When did that launch? But like it wasn't anything like it. Right, that's right.
Halo 2. Yeah.
But it wasn't anything like it was on the 360.
Yeah.
No,
it's I love it. I love the answer, Rhetri. Yeah, I'll touch on that in a second. I just want to read some of the chat's answer.
Sure.
Everyone's idle Goro says also 360 PS3 era. Billy C says Sega Mega Drive. Oh, love it. I love it. Oscar Emilio says the Dreamcast. James agrees with him. The Dreamcast was a fantastic console. A little bit ahead of its time.
It was ahead of its time. Yeah. Really good.
Yeah. Ballantone says between Sega Mega Drive, Xbox Series X, and PS5, Xbox without a doubt. Yeah. And James says the Atari. Yeah, man. Jacob says the PS2. PS2 was an amazing console.
Yeah, it was.
Definitely. So then we have... hang on, the chat is going to so quick. Sin says it started with Pong for him. So yeah,
love
it. Yeah. So for me, like I agree with the Series X. It's a fantastic console, and like Rhetri says, I'm also an engineer in real life, so I love the tech, and it's something special about this console generation that we have these really high-end consoles that are as close as they have ever been to a high-end gaming PC. That's definitely awesome. And like I said earlier, the seamless ecosystem, Game Pass, and of course the community, awesome. But I also, if I think about it holistically, I think like the 360 generation and the PS3 generation was that time that was so special to me, because also in my private life, so many things happened during that generation. Like I started when the console came out, I was still at the university. I lived in a shared apartment with 3 mates, and we were like, it was completely different times. Then we graduated from the university. Everyone went off, did something different, and we still connected through gaming. I started my first job at the very end of the generation. After I finished my PhD, I started my first job, and I met my wife during that time. And there were just so many things going on, and that's just one part of it. But then, like Astreis said, there were just so many fantastic games, like the Mass Effect trilogy, Skyrim, Red Dead 1, Batman Arkham
Oblivion as a launch game.
Oblivion as a launch game, Halo 3, the Gears trilogy. Like it just doesn't end. And on the PlayStation 3, we had like God of War, and we had the Uncharted series, which is one of my favorites of all time. So it was just from a gaming perspective. But then the community aspect comes in, because it was really that time, that generation that defined online gaming. It was like, I didn't know anyone who played online when that console came out. I was the only one who played Halo 2 online that I know on a console. I knew a lot of online PC gamers, but not on a console side. And then at the end of the generation, everyone played online. It was completely normal. And we had like apps suddenly on the console. We had the Netflix app and YouTube on the console. And all that changed from 2005 to 2013. So yeah, for me, that generation was that generation that defined modern gaming. For that, yeah, I think it is the 360 generation. So yeah, guys, great chat. We are already 30 minutes into this show, but yeah, time just flies when you're having fun talking about games, and we could fill another 30 minutes, but you guys know, I usually start this show I can't say I start the show now because 33 minutes into it, but I definitely want to talk about the games of the week. All right. So also in chat, let us know, what are you guys currently playing? What are your games of the week? Astreis, what is keeping you busy right now?
Oh, Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I started that. And before that, so actually just yesterday, I got my 100% series achievement for Hot Wheels. So not like the 100% for all the gamer score, but for doing all of the challenges every week for a month.
Nice.
And it is just grinding.
Nice.
So I was doing that.
I'm just throwing some gameplay up here, yeah, because I've been playing that as well.
It's so good.
Yeah. Nice. Peter, what have you been playing?
The same. I've kind of got like 3 or 4 games on the go. I'm doing another run through of Mass Effect trilogy.
Oh, you can never go wrong with that.
And you know, Mass Effect is and probably always will be one of my all-time favorites. I absolutely love it. So I'm on Mass Effect 2 at the moment, but I have paused that and paused my playthrough of Death's Door to play Hot Wheels.
First playthrough of Death's Door, or
it's the first playthrough. Yeah, I bought it on launch, and I never got to it. And then I just had a bit of free time. I thought, you know what, let's go into this, and it is fantastic.
That was my personal favorite game of last year.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm just at the at the Frog King boss. But yeah, as soon as Hot Wheels came out, everything else went on hold for a little bit. I had to check it out, and you know, Playgrounds are just. They are a master at what they do.
Yeah, they are.
The opening exhibition race on Hot Wheels, it was just exhilarating. It was, and I knew, I know that there was a little bit of, I saw a little bit of discourse when they announced it. Oh, another Hot Wheels, but this is just so far beyond what was done in Forza Horizon 3. And I can see now why they've gone back to it to do it justice, because the scope of what they've done now with the map, and that you can see everything in the distance, and it's just it's phenomenal. It's absolutely excellent. Again, they're one of those studios that you kind of just know that they don't miss. You know, they say that they're going to do something. You know, well, this is going to look great. It's going to play great. So at the very least, you know, I know they're doing Fable, which is completely different. I think at the very least, it's going to be fantastically presented.
Definitely, for sure.
At the very least. So, so that's me. Mass Effect, Death's Door, Hot Wheels.
Sweet. Yeah, just to touch briefly on Fable, I'm also playing the Hot Wheels DLC, and I'm constantly thinking, like, man, how will that open world fantasy RPG look like if this game already looks that good? And it was a cross-gen game, and I really can't wait to see that. Man,
the horse and buggy physics will be amazing.
Absolutely. Dave, what have you been playing, man?
Thanks, Box. So before we get there, I just want to shout out to Masshole in the chat. We were talking about our favorite games before, and he comes in with like Pressure Wash Simulator as his favorite game in that context. It's like, wow. So nice. Big ups for that. And he's also saying he's playing that right now. So just want to highlight that for the chat. Very much like you, Box, with you are with BioShock, I missed every wave that was the excitement for Mass Effect. I don't know what it was when it first came out. I just couldn't. And when I tried to get into the first time, I think I got stuck on the one board about where to go. And I was like, I just didn't like it. And it was, I didn't share that with anybody because everyone's such a big fan of Mass Effect. So, but unlike you, Box, no criticism, sir. Truth be told, I have gone through the uncomfortability. I started playing Mass Effect, and I'm about to finish Mass Effect 3 on the new enhanced version. And I wish what someone had told me, as someone who was like a Mass Effect not doubter, but like someone was late to the game. It's like a soap opera in space. And if you view it like that with some light RPG elements, it's like this game is great. So I don't know how close I am to the end, but probably at 27 hours in on the third one. And I think my numbers are all messed up on that for my play. I don't know what happened there, but that is what I'm playing right now. The wife likes to watch me play, so that's good, probably from the context and the way the camera angles are. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
That's awesome.
Are you Paragon or Renegade, Dave?
What's that?
Are you Paragon or Renegade?
Oh, I'm always a Paragon. My first playthrough, I'm always like, this is the best version of me in real life. It's like, no, it's not. We're all flawed, but I'm going to be the best. The second playthrough, I'm like, F this. I'm going to do whatever I want. So that's all my first playthrough.
You don't kill Rex. Just whatever you do, Rex lives.
Nice. I had to. I don't know.
Not in my playthrough.
Is it okay to talk about things that happen in this game? Is it old enough of a game to talk about it, or is that ruining it?
I'm not sure. I've seen a couple of people. Yeah, I've seen a couple of people play lately.
So I shot Ashley in ME3, and I was like, you know what? I can't help you here. It's like you pulled the gun on me, and that was my first Paragon points. Or the Renegade points.
Your first
so I told him, I was like, dude, you can't pull a gun on me. It's like, what am I gonna do in real life? I'd shoot you. So I shot her.
Did it send you on a path of total descent?
I'm still like 90.
Were you just a mean dude after
split.
that?
Nah, 90-10 split. 90-10 split after that. Yeah.
That's good.
Never feel bad either. Everybody's got a guilty game like that. Mine's Witcher. I've owned it for a couple of years now, and by the time I got around to it, I heard about the next gen update, so that's what I'm waiting for to enjoy that for the first time.
Still scheduled for this year, so let's see if it actually will come out this year. yeah. Rhetri, what has kept you busy?
For me, It Takes Two. Still trying to finish that. I'm like 50% done on that. And you laugh, but Power Wash Simulator, I'm getting my dad mode on and trying that one out. And nice. Ori and the Blind Forest, I'm playing that one too.
For the first time?
Fantastic.
No, I just never finished it before.
Okay. And
I'm going back in and then wondering what the heck why did I not keep playing this game? It's unbelievably good.
Yeah.
I'm bouncing between those three right now. Enjoying every moment of it.
Sweet.
Power washing.
I play that game in real life too often.
Right.
So.
That's why I did it. I'm like, I got one of these. It's kind of fun, actually.
Yeah. I hear that a lot. I was on a podcast yesterday with Patje from the Netherlands. He's also addicted to it and loves it. So
Hey, Steam doesn't lie, man. A lot of good
Yeah.
reviews on that game. So
Play some
Yeah.
like therapeutic music in the back. Serious, like some
right,
spa
yeah.
radio
yeah,
with like power wash
light
simulator
some
and
candles.
I'm trying to think of an alcoholic beverage that goes with that. I just drink a gentleman's drink. It's like, what are you doing? I'm power washing, Dave.
That's right.
Oh, you're
I
power washing
love
the house. Like, no, in a video game. Come on, I'm not outside. It's too hot.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. In chat, people are playing also Forza Horizon 5, Hot Wheels. Xcoin is playing that. Masshole, like Dave said, is playing a pressure wash simulator. Then we have Everyone Idle Scoro talks about Combat Evolved. Sin just closed out Rune. Oh, that's cool. Exotic one. I haven't heard that in a while. What else? Valentone says Shivering Isle Blood and Wine Level. I have no idea what he's talking about. Mistjoy in the Dark is playing Dragon Age. So yeah, people are playing great games there. Cool stuff. So I've been obviously playing also
Age?
the and Age. That's what it is. Like I bought actually in the sale there's this big summer sale on Xbox right now. I bought Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the 2019 one for like $20.
Really good.
Nice.
I'm not a big multiplayer fan of Call of Duty, but I do enjoy the campaigns. But I usually think like paying full price for a 5-hour campaign isn't worth it. So I'm always waiting for a sale, and I got that one. I have also upgraded my PS Plus subscription to PS Extra, or what it's called, so I can play Stray. I've downloaded that, and nothing pulls me in. I just keep coming back to H4. Season 2 is so good. I will put up a little gameplay a little later in the show when this footage here from Forza Horizon runs out. And yeah, then Hot Wheels came out, and that's the only one that was able to pull me away from H4. I also want to play As Dusk Falls. I hear a lot of good things about it, but yeah.
Me and my wife are gonna. Well, I'm hoping anyway. She's gonna love that game because I'm looking forward to it for that reason.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because like you, Dave, I do enjoy the Telltale games. It's just like it's so relaxing. Yeah, sometimes at the end of a stressful day, it's very calming. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's just like H4 Season 2, and I gotta say, people have become a lot better. I usually play ranked matches, and it was like Emperor in the Emperor skill level, which is the second highest level you can get, and only like the best 5% in the world are ranked in that. I was ranked there in Season 1, and now I'm ranked in Gold 2, and for the sake of it, I can't level up. It's really people have become a lot better, and I need to try out different strategies, and that's why I'm so addicted. Trying out different countries. I usually play as English. Now I'm playing as the Holy Roman Empire and trying out different strategies so I can win more matches. I'm just loving it.
That's awesome.
Console. Yeah, I know. I believe it's coming to Xbox.
Yeah, we hear that rumor. Yeah,
I think it's been all but unofficially confirmed by people that seem to be in the know.
Yeah.
But I was kind of hoping it would be at the showcase this year.
Yeah, me too.
It wasn't.
Yeah, me too.
I do wonder whether they'll maybe sort of save it for sort of a GDC or something, or not Gamescom.
Gamescom.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how
maybe.
the controls convert over though, because I've played it and I actually really loved it on PC, but I'm going, I don't know. That's a lot to that game. Like that's gonna be a little tough.
I remember on the 360, I had there was a period of time that a friend of me and I played Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 on the 360.
That's a great game.
I remember.
And you know what? It wasn't. It it wasn't particularly adjusted for gamepad. It was slightly, but not to the extent that like a Halo Wars was. But you know what? We had a lot of fun on that. It didn't run that great, ran at sub 30, but it's one of those things where it actually it was so fun that it kind of didn't matter. So I am intrigued as to how it will play on Xbox, and it will probably have keyboard and mouse support, I would assume as well. Anyway, which I've been trying out recently because I just found it quite fun to sort of go into Halo and Gears with a keyboard and mouse on my Xbox and go, oh, this works really well.
Yeah, it does. I just hope that they then implement like a filter that you don't have to play with a controller against people with mouse and keyboard. I really thought that this was a bad idea in like Halo Infinite, where you were constantly playing on the controller against mouse and keyboard people, and you were just able to tell. But other than that, I think like the challenge with H4 on our controller is that this is a strategy game that heavily relies on you grouping different units together.
Right.
More so than a Command and Conquer or Halo Wars. You have that group mechanic there as well, but it's different in H4. And I think like this is really the challenge to how
It's
do
gonna
you
be a lot of leftover guys that you didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like if you ever play it on PC, like I found that through talking with someone, I lost a match against him and was like, usually when I lose, it's close. I do lose like 50% of the matches when I'm playing ranked. That's just because you're ranked with similar skilled people, but then it's always close. And it was like playing against one guy, and he completely annihilated me. It was like literally like when I play against the AI and put it on super easy. It was not even close, and I was like, dude, I'm on that rank Emperor. How can you defeat me like that? And he gave me an advice, and it is like you have to group your buildings together so that it doesn't matter where you are on the screen. You can always
like manage
your buildings and building units, because like the guy who is able to constantly produce units is gonna win in H4, and that's basically the skill you need to do, and it really helps out if you group your buildings together, not the units you steer across the map. So
nice.
Yeah. All right, enough with the H4 talk. I want to move to some of the news of the week. All right, guys. It hasn't been the biggest week of news week of the year, but there are still a couple of interesting things to talk about. And one thing broke earlier. That is another delay of the Avatar game. Ubisoft had their big earnings report, and they officially said, well, Avatar is delayed to their fiscal year 24, which runs basically from July 23 to June 24. So that's the new release window. You guys think we will see a couple of other delays as well? I want to start with Dave here.
Yeah, yes, what's interesting about this, my first instinct was like, you know what, this news is dropping. Let me analyze this like I'm a business analyst. What are the number of releases? What are the quality of releases, so I could form a really informed opinion. And before I even started, I thought to myself, you know what? I just don't care. If the delay results in a better game, I'm for it. I'm going to be unapologetic about it. And I did take a peek at the report. It's like they're making money from a business perspective. I think their revenue was up. It's like as a gamer, I don't try to be nice. I don't care if it gets still released. As a business, from their sense, like they're making money. I don't see why there's a pressing need for them to do that. Like why make bad business decisions? So. That's kind of how I arrived at that.
Yeah, totally makes sense. It's just weird because Ubisoft has been on a very good release schedule, and now this year really looks super empty for them as well. And
I think they got other stuff that's delayed too. I could have swore I saw on Twitter there's like 4 things getting pushed. I can't remember what the other games were, but it was right after this story came out that Ubisoft is pushing other stuff as well. So, I mean, I'm guessing on the Ubisoft side, like they got to prove to Disney that they can pull this off. And it's, I'm hoping not the regular Ubisoft formula. For some people, that's fine. For me, it's getting tiresome. But so they got a lot to prove because there's going to be other Disney IP, including this and future games for Avatar that Ubisoft wants to get under contract. So they got to prove themselves. So delay it, like Dave said. Like it's always better to delay and not screw it up.
Yeah.
So
because the film's out. Well, it's meant to be out this December, isn't it?
December,
right.
So I mean, unless the film's been delayed and it's not been announced yet, which is probably unlikely, it probably wouldn't have been an easy decision to push that game back.
Right.
Because the film's going to come out, and regardless of people's thoughts on the first film, it's probably going to do really, really well. So you'd have to imagine that they would have wanted to sort of try and release it in that window, sort of when it's sort of in the pop culture. So it kind of an easy decision. But I'm with Dave. I will always prefer a game to be delayed and be better. I've got a ridiculous backlog. So speaking for myself personally, I know it's been a little bit drier for releases this year, maybe, but I'm just going into my backlog. As long as the Witcher 3 next gen patch doesn't get delayed, I've just been holding off a new game on that because I'm like, okay, it's about to come out, and I kind of, for me, that's a 200-hour experience because I'm really into it. I get into the Gwent and I spend hours upon hours. So as long as that's not delayed, I'm fine. I kind of hope Hogwarts isn't delayed.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
It got pushed once, didn't it?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure that with an official
I don't
date.
think we got a date, did we?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think we at some point we had like early or summer 22, and it was then delayed or pushed back to fall.
But never.
But yeah, I'm also a little nervous about that because at this point we are already almost at the end of July, and at this point when we don't have a fixed release date for a game, I feel like it's
not a lot of confidence
to get.
I think you're right. I think that's kind of them. Maybe we're not 100% sure this is going to make it, so let's just not give a date. I think there's been a few instances, hasn't there, in the last couple of years where games have either released not quite right or they've had to change their dates. So you've got Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk scared everybody.
Well, that's
definitely.
So now it's like, you know what? Let's not give a date and let's not release the game broken, which is absolutely the right thing to do.
Do you guys think that we are at like the peak of the COVID effect on the games industry?
I'm so tired of this.
I think some studios, I think there are some that we're now seeing maybe the effect of that with things being pushed. I think Xbox Studios and the ones they've recently purchased in particular, I think that's been a big thing because obviously there's no way that we know they didn't plan for this year to sort of have those delays.
Right.
But we've kind of got to be getting sort of to the end of that, I would think.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at 23 and what is scheduled for 23, even if only half of that comes out next year, this is going to be one of the busiest years in gaming. I think so too. That this year is the last, or is that what's a good word in English? Like the peak of the COVID delays. I don't think we will see it to the same degree.
Overshoot of the effect.
Gosh, I wish I could remember who was talking about it, but they were saying it like maybe it was even like Phil or Jim Ryan or Herman, but they were saying like depending on where a game was at when everybody had to start working from home, or people can do motion capture or stuff like you had whole studios that were sitting on their hands because they needed to do in-person type stuff to finish the game. And then there was games like a Miles Morales or a Demon Souls that got to release, on time and launch with the PS5 because they were, at a right spot where working from home,
was more feasible. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have heard that from multiple studios. I also remember Matt Booty talking about this. Ninja Theory talked about this. It was what's Horizon Forbidden West. I'm blanking on the studio right now.
Gorilla.
Thank you. They also talked about this, and it only makes sense, like you said, things like motion captures or audio recording, like music recording, stuff like that you really cannot do at home. That really slowed the process down. If your game was at the very early stage where you had like concepts made and just throwing ideas out, that was something you could do via a Teams call, and of course not as efficiently probably, but it was possible. And when you're more at the end part of the development, where you like when you have like 200 designers and you tell them, okay, I need 2,000 trees until in 3 months, and I need like 5,000 mountains. That's stuff you can generate at home, but you can really not do motion capture and voice recording and all that stuff. So really, it really depends on where your game was in development. It hits you differently. Yeah.
To your point there, Rhetri, you mentioned about the other Ubisoft delays. Kiki and chat has just said that they've cancelled Splinter Cell VR and Coast.
Yes, that's what it was.
On Frontline.
Oh, really?
Randall Throw will be mad they canceled Splinter Cell VR.
There's going to be hell to pay.
So, at least it's not Splinter Cell. Full stop.
The remake.
Yeah.
The remake.
That suck all the excitement out of that. I mean,
I really didn't have the time to look into that Ubisoft report completely, so I just read the headlines and
so much going on with that.
And Sin, you're right. Outer Worlds title theme is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean the delays we have seen this year. One of the games that definitely is a reason that why publishers are now so scared of releasing games in a certain state is definitely Cyberpunk. And I want to use that as a segue into one of the other topics. Recently, there was a report, and I wasn't aware of that, but the CD Projekt Red stock has dropped almost to half where it was before Cyberpunk.
I heard it was 75%.
70, depending on where you look at in time. Yeah,
right.
It was 75.
The launch, I guess.
Yeah. But so and this is to me, it's still a surprise because I actually started a second playthrough a few weeks ago. The game itself is actually good. It is definitely good now. They fixed most of the issues.
75%. It was valued at $40 billion back in December 2020 before the launch, and they're valued at $10 billion now. So 75%. I mean, if that's your start point.
Yeah, there you go. And now they are not the most valuable developer in Poland anymore. They are
that's right.
Second after Techland. Which is insane if you think about the massive success that The Witcher 3 obviously had, and that they were really like the darling of the community. CD Projekt Red couldn't do anything wrong. They were like just everyone's favorite studio, and now they have dropped like that. So
this feels like based on emotion, though, because it sold fine. Like 2077 sold absolutely fine and actually made its money back in pre-orders. So this feels like a little odd. Like it's like the stock
not
is
necessarily
down,
tied to
not
the
based
business.
on business, but emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which I'm fine with. They they kind of need that heat, as far as I'm concerned. And the way I see it, if I'm sure Boom is thinking this, if I'm Microsoft, it's looking good for
I was just going to say, in this climate, with the dreaded word acquisition, this is all over the place now. You see a company's stock drop,
Yeah.
And you sort of think some big tech giant is going to see that and go, well, I can swoop in here and get this at a bargain. So as soon as I saw that box, I thought, okay, well, it kind of, for me, that sort of says, are they going to be, the likes of Microsoft and Tencent, Embracer, looking at them with hungry eyes. The thing is, Microsoft, I don't think would touch anything.
No.
Until
Activision Blizzard is
I know that's a topic a little bit later on.
We'll segue right into it after this. So
if that was going to happen, I guess Embracer maybe would be preferable potentially over the others. But yeah, to your point, Rhetri, I think there is a bit of that in it. So yeah, Cyberpunk obviously left a bit of stink on their reputation initially. And then obviously they've pushed back the next gen update. So it might just be that the roadmap that they had planned, maybe I would imagine that their original roadmap had them already having released some sort of a paid DLC for Cyberpunk by now. Which obviously has been pushed back internally. Then you've got the next gen patch, which would have had a boost to the sales of Witcher 3, which is again been pushed back. So it's probably like a combination of the stink from the launch of Cyberpunk, the consequence of then not having DLC for Cyberpunk, which is going to be with the price, and then the Witcher 3 thing being pushed back. But it's one of those things where I feel that if they just have a good, if the next DLC for Cyberpunk comes out and it's strong, and then the Witcher 3 patch is really well done and it launches, I can see that bouncing back a little bit as well.
Siki in the chat makes a good point, saying Sony might go for them because they need RPGs, because we definitely don't. Like it would be cool because they're such a great studio, but we don't need these guys honestly. But I'd take them.
I also think it'd be pretty like I'm not saying there's going to be a leadership shakeup. I don't have insider information. I'm just thinking to myself, like, what the value of the company was just 2 years ago. You have an idea of why it's dropped in value to date. You now have a target to say, if I can correct this company at or near its previous valuation, I'm successful as a CEO of this company. And then you're getting a nice payout. It's like, I could see myself as a manager wanting to walk in there and say, okay, this is my goal now. My goal is to return this to its future, its recent glory. And I have a measurable way of doing that. And if I succeed, everybody's happy. And you know what? It's like, that's a challenge I could see, like me personally, like Dave Ramos would want to latch onto, say, hey, listen, we've been there. Let's figure out what the issues is. Let's get back there. But that's just me personally.
It's so crazy though now, like as a studio head, you have to like be able to do those things you're talking about and not have somebody worry that you're crushing your developers, and you have to worry about trying to make everybody keep their hands to themselves. And it's just like there are so many of these like X factors to all this stuff, and you want to see us like, guys, we're a talented group of developers. All we got to do is get back to basics. I feel like I'm a sports coach, right? Like let's start catching the ball with two hands without trying to take first to third on every hit. It's like, so
no, you're definitely right. The challenges are big these days, especially in a field where there's a lot of competition for qualified staff. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think like we've seen in the last year, CD Projekt Red getting really close to Epic. Like they dropped their own engine, they are switching to Unreal, them releasing games on the Epic store, putting them out there for free even at some point. And and they're positioned relatively close together, so I could see that happening. But overall, I think I have heard before that CD Projekt Red has the intention to remain independent. So I could see what Dave said happening as well, that there's just one very ambitious manager who comes in and just says, hey, I take it as a personal challenge to course correct this ship now. We shall see. And Xbox for sure isn't touching it. Like Peter said, right now they are very, very busy with the Activision Blizzard deal, and I want to use that actually as a segue into our next topic, and that is the rumor, the reports that have been out there that the Activision Blizzard deal could be approved as soon as next month, as soon as August. Everyone's favorite gaming lawyer, Hoke, shout out to him, put out a fantastic video. I think we all watched it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and he definitely stepped in and explained a bunch of things of this process. And so, yeah, it kind of looks like it's not going to be finished next week.
Okay, good. So I was worried everyone was going to hate me because I'm with you on that one, Boxenberger. It's just not going to happen. There's no way.
No. Shout out to Hogue Law as well, because I have learned so much from his videos over this last few months. He's a really good member of the community. So whenever anything like these rumors come up, I immediately just look out for one of his videos to sort of break it down. And
you get really excited. You see all these podcasts, you'd be like, maybe next month. And then you watch Whole Log and you're like, oh.
You know what?
Real life.
He broke. We've all watched the video, and what's been reported on isn't necessarily wrong, but it's also not necessarily right. It's one of those situations where we don't know enough information.
It's a gamble. No one
knows.
Yes, and I know he likened it to sort of how Amazon were, but what we don't know is this an aggressive play by them to sort of force the hand? As he mentioned in his video, the FTC could extend that deadline. They could.
Right. They might not even agree with the deadline. Exactly, what Hogue was kind of saying, like, the rumor was Microsoft puts out this 30-day timer and everyone's like, oh, scared of Microsoft, except they have to agree to that 30-day countdown. They may not even agree that 30 days starts when Microsoft says so. Never mind, we're ignoring the CMA too. They just started July, I think 6 it was, on their decision-making, and that's phase 1. That's assuming by September 1st for the CMA that phase 1 ends. And there's no definitive date on that either. That can go beyond September 1st, and there can be a phase 2. Now, if phase 1 takes almost 2 months, and so doesn't phase 2, you're talking November at the earliest.
Yeah, it's a huge deal, and I'm sure that Microsoft and Blizzard are doing everything they can to sort of like make it go smoothly. And obviously, the union, I can't remember what the firm was now. But
there's a second union just got formed.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's positive. It's great that they're sort of backing it, saying, we're pleased with what they're doing now. But yeah, to your point and to Hogue's points, there's a lot to happen, and we know that this new FTC are under a leadership that is looking closer at these tech giants and these tech deals. And I don't think it's something. It's so big. I don't think it's something that's going to be rushed. And yet, yes. Once they've provided all information that's been asked of them, that sets off some sort of a 30-day window. But then if the FTC don't agree that they've given all the information they want, then they could dispute it and push back. And, I think it's going to be next year.
I do too.
Personally. I think, it's great to sort of think about it. Oh, wow, it could be next month, and it's all exciting. I just realistically think it's going to be, if this year, it's going to be the very end of the year, but I think it'll be next year still.
I hope
which
we're
is
all
fine
wrong.
too, right? Like, I'm sorry, gosh, I keep jumping all over you, Rhetri.
Go.
I was just gonna say that, which is fine. Like, I from the outset of the deal, as soon as it got announced, this is when a lot of people in the know, like Hogue, projected that the deal would be done. I know there's always discourse and people like to talk about whatever. So when it was going to be heavily looked at by the FTC or the judicial, and then it was going to go through both rounds, I imagine they will probably have more questions. He talked about that, like, arbiter that has to decide whether or not they've actually adequately responded to the FTC's request for information. and there could be a whole nother round of these requests. And people like Hogue fully expected that every procedure that the FTC had in their toolbox would be taken out because of their stance on big tech, and not even because they don't like Microsoft, just to wave a big stick.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna put up a brief poll in the chat because I want to hear from you guys as well. What do you think? When will the deal be done? So definitely gonna please vote there. I just want to briefly add something to this discussion. What sometimes is forgotten in a lot of the articles I've seen is that not just the FTC has to approve the deal. It's also the EU, the UK, and China that have to sign this off, and there are deadlines there as well. So, like, I can't remember the abbreviation of the institution of the UK, but they have like their deadline in September until they have to give
That's
the first
CMA.
CMA, right? I think it was September 1st or so when they have to approve that. The EU has yet to approve it. China also. So, yeah, I don't think that August is realistic.
Yeah, and one thing I learned this 2 hours ago on the train listening to Hogue's video was that the FTC. So the way he put it was the FTC don't necessarily approve it. They just don't get in the way of it. So they don't sort of challenge it. And I think the reason for that is that they kind of have the right to, at any point in the future, go back and challenge it after the fact.
Yeah.
So I think it's more that they'll just sort of either say, okay, we're not going to oppose this.
Yeah.
But by approving it, it would mean that they would relinquish their right to ever sort of push back in the future. And I think it's something they can. I think, and again, full credit to Hogue on this because none of this is from my head. It's all from his video, and that's kind of what's happening with Amazon at the moment. I think as well. Facebook. That they're now being challenged on previous acquisitions, I believe, and or mergers that have already happened and gone through, but they're now being challenged on them.
Yeah. Before I watched Hoax's video, I wasn't aware that this is even an option. I actually thought, okay, at some point they have to sign it off, and then deal is deal. But yeah, so definitely, guys, check out the video of Hogue. So let's make a real quick round. I also put that up in chat. The question: when is it done? So my guess is early 23. So
Same.
Same. Beginning 23. Yeah.
There's only one thing that would cause me to think differently, and that's if there's starting to be more chatter after like August or September. It's like, people eventually go into the holiday season here in the States. It's like if we get to November, like the first week of November, and there's no word, no chatter, it's like it's not happening. It's like people are going to start going on holidays. It's going to get pushed to 2023.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Let's move on to something else. Big update is coming to Xbox this week. It actually rolled out yesterday to Xbox insiders, and that is the addition of Discord is coming to Xbox. And it's not just an app you can download. They've actually integrated it into the dashboard. So basically what you can do now is start a voice chat on Discord from your tab in the Xbox guide. So yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. Is this a big deal? What do you think? Let's start with Peter this time.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. Yeah. So Xbox, it's all about the sort of cross-play and cross-function between console and PC. It has been for a little while. And they're slowly sort of getting towards that ecosystem where it is, as you mentioned earlier on, Boxenberger, this seamless move from console to PC. And I think this is a really big step in that direction.
Yeah.
It's, Discord is probably the most popular, or one of the most popular sort of means of communication between gamers. And if everyone's got Discord and they've got their channels and they've got their friends who might be on there, so I think it just again pushes them further in that towards that goal of just this one ecosystem between all their devices. You've got phones, xCloud, PC, console. I think it just goes towards that, and I'm surprised that this has rolled out before it rolled out on PlayStation. If I'm honest with you,
Yeah.
What a weird road that was, right? Like,
It was there was this story. I think it was last year. How Xbox were interested in Discord, and I think maybe I think they were, and then that didn't happen. And then I think PlayStation or Sony bought some shares in Discord, and then it was like, okay, well, that's a really good partnership as well. So I kind of expected this to happen on PlayStation, and then maybe a little bit further down the road happen on Xbox. So I think it's amazing, and I think it will come to PlayStation as well. And I think it's a positive. We've got these different devices, but I think the more you can connect gamers who are playing on these different devices, for me, I think it's a positive. There's no downside to it really. And what better partner than Discord really?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I have a couple of things to say as well, but I want to hear Astreis' thoughts as well.
Oh yeah, I that's what I was gonna kind of echo what Peter said. That road was crazy where the Xbox, I think. Well, I don't know if it was ever public. It was just a leak, right? That they were gonna pay like a lot of money to
it was a rumor that they acquire them. Yeah,
that they were gonna acquire Discord, and then that was suddenly not a thing. And then PlayStation publicly bought a minority hold in Discord, and then made all these announcements how they were going to integrate Discord into the PS5 and things. And then
but they didn't buy them. Because that was so funny at the time. Everyone was reporting like, "Oh, Sony bought Discord." And
that's right.
Yeah, wasn't. They just bought a certain amount of shares, and
I think it was just a minority share.
It was like 5%, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. And then they just announced the strategic partnership or something like that. It wasn't an acquisition. But I get the point. Yeah, I was also like, okay, they are more in bed with PlayStation than with Xbox right now. So,
but they were doing that, and that's was Sony's technique with Epic Games, right? Didn't they do that a couple of times too?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I agree. I was kind of waiting and hoping for that to be a thing, because my biggest outlook on Discord coming to Xbox is, aside from it being an incredible platform, it really just pushes us that much closer to cross-platform. Even if you're playing games that are exclusive to one platform or another, you can still chat with all your friends, whether it's PC, Xbox, PlayStation. We might even get lucky and see somebody like Nintendo get Discord for the Switch. That would be crazy too.
A lot of people are playing the Switch games online and use, of course, Discord, because they don't have their own proper party chat system.
Right. Yeah.
Becky,
Well, I guess I'll be the Debbie Downer on this, because have you guys looked at the videos for how this is working?
I know.
It is complicated.
Having to use your phone to first connect to the server and then push the audio to the Xbox every single time you do this.
Oh, you have to do it every single time? I thought it was like just.
I think I might be wrong on that, but I haven't got any pushback from anybody I asked that about, including Sarah Bond. So I think you might have to do that every time, because in the dashboard, it doesn't look like you can look at Discord servers from inside the dashboard.
I don't think you can join Discord calls directly from your Xbox console.
Right.
And I tried to look into this not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I don't read very fast, but you would think by the 3rd time I would have found the answer to this question. And I still can't figure out, is it the first time or every time? And that makes me concerned.
I think there's the initial connection. Just you got to get the two accounts to talk to one another.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be on your phone every time. That's not intuitive, and that is no one's going to do that.
That's native mobile.
My take, though, is I think that's maybe in a quest to kind of get it there right now.
Right? Yeah.
There's no way it'll stay that way, and if it does,
not.
that's absurd. But I think that they were able to kind of on the back end say, hey, if you can join a Discord call, then you can push it to the Xbox, and then we can have it working right now.
I hope you're right.
Work on an interface.
All I have to say
they did the
is
same thing with
DVR.
Twitch. Yeah,
DVR. We hear that for almost 2 years now. That they're gonna fix it. Yeah,
I think Dealer Gaming is gonna wring Jason Ronald's neck if we don't fix it soon.
I actually hit Jason up as well, and he just replied to me that the team is still working on this. So yeah, I don't know.
What's that?
I mean, I think it's great. I'm glad it's there. I just don't see, because for us guys, we're techie. We almost don't even need this. You can already use the Xbox Party app to do exactly what Discord is doing right now, just outside of Discord. You could still talk to PC players back and forth. I do it all the time. But I thought this was going to be for your average Joe, like a guy who's not a techie nerd. And I don't feel like this is quite that yet.
Definitely
it's not there.
Yeah. I wasn't aware that it is that complicated. I thought it is just like you link the two accounts together once, and then you can just access.
I hope that it doesn't seem like it, but Windows Central and Tom Henderson both did a video, and I watched both of them, and I'm like, uh-oh.
All right.
I think The Verge.
So if that's definitely the case, they definitely need to change that. The difference is for me that this allows really for bigger parties and even cross connection between Xbox Live parties on PC and console can be very unstable. I've done that a couple of times now. With a couple of buddies, like they were streaming through Twitch and were playing like Forza on community game night on the PC, and then we had the some real bad disconnects because some people were on PC, some were on console, stuff like that. And then of course there's the size limit. Like you can put up to 99 people in a Discord.
That's a good point.
So you can have like real crazy events with
like a real community night type of thing on Xbox. That's a really good idea.
So that's why I'm definitely thinking about starting my my own Discord now. But of course, I want to see that fixed and made more intuitive. Anyone else wants to add something? Because otherwise, I want to read briefly the results of the poll. I forgot to close it from earlier. I asked the chat the question: when do you guys think the ABK deal will be done? And 12% said it will be finished in August. 47% think it's still going to happen this year, but at the end of this year. 38% say beginning of 23, and only 3% think it's going to take longer. I
love that 12%. Go you guys. I love the optimism. I hope we're all wrong.
I would gladly take the L if that's the case. But I don't think it's going to happen. I just hope it closes before Diablo 4 comes out. So that this one drops in Game Pass, because that will be awesome to play in community game night and then party chat with 99 people.
To that end, Boxenberger, do you think, or do you guys think, that when this closes, we're going to see the same sort of drop that we did when Bethesda closed, and there'll be this huge Game Pass sort of welcome to the family, here's 30 games.
That was a pretty cool moment when Bethesda had that board of games. It was like coming to Game Pass. It was like, I just don't know how that just felt so good. It's like, yes. Backlog, no, but yes.
I think so. I think we will see a lot of those games drop in. I think we will see a lot of the Call of Duty games come to Game Pass. We will see the Blizzard games come to Game Pass. I think it's gonna happen. The question is when. I'm not sure that it will like happen as soon as it did with Bethesda, because I think like the Bethesda deal was easier. With many of those games, like the Call of Duty games, there are like all these contracts with Sony,
Right.
and other publishers, and it is just, I think it's in general it's a little bit more complicated this time. So I think we won't see that big drop immediately. A couple of games immediately, and then we will get continuous drops over the first year or so. Yeah.
So do you think, and again, another question for you guys, with obviously the big titles for Microsoft being pushed back now to next year, do you think we see towards the end of this year, close to launch, regardless of whether the deal's done or not, sort of a last minute, Diablo's going into Game Pass, or even something like Hogwarts? I know it seems a bit
Definitely not Hogwarts.
a bit crazy.
Sony.
But, okay, if that's Sony, then it won't be that. Do you think we see some very late third party deals to kind of try and mitigate the gaps that were left by Starfield and Redfall?
Some of that stuff could already be done too and just not announced.
Yeah.
In October alone, we're getting High on Life and Requiem Day 1 Game Pass, and I am out of my mind amped for those two games.
Yep,
Requiem
same.
in particular, it's one of my most hyped games of the year. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, same. Dave, what do you think?
Sorry, we covered a couple different topics. What was the...
Let's hear. Do you think we will see another like bigger Game Pass drop? One of those AAA games that come towards the end of the year.
I've heard this idea, and it's like there is a pretty long lull there. We all have seen it. We've talked about it. We've predicted it, and I think it was King David who was like, "You can't tell someone what their Christmas present is in July. It's no longer a surprise."
Yeah.
So are there things coming? Yeah, there could be. I mean, I'm not sure. I have a hard time believing that there wouldn't be something, but there is something. There is High on Life. Like that game, I forget, it was one of the ones on Iron Lord podcast was talking about how there was a previous game just like that one where the comments were so witty and hysterical. It's like that gun's going to be talking to you the whole time. And if it's at that level, it's like, why wouldn't I want to play it? So there is things coming. Is that enough? I'm sure the gap, the hole, the void is still there. So there's this desire, this perception that we have to fill it with something. And could Microsoft fill it with their war chest? Yeah, I have no doubt. I would absolutely love if they did it with Blizzard regardless. With Diablo regardless.
But Diablo is not coming this year. So
right. Okay. Sorry. I thought someone contextually said it was. I was like, so I would love for them to open up their war chest. But, someone said earlier in the show, my backlog is so big. It's like, I don't know that it's going to make a huge difference for me in terms of what I actually play on my couch. It will make a huge difference in terms of what am I getting excited over and what can I talk over at the water cooler. But do I think they're coming to something? I don't know. That's my answer.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we'll get like Callisto or something like that. Because I know that's a hot one on the internet. I don't think it'll happen just because when Xbox had a gap in February where Sony had their banger come out, a lot of people thought, myself included, we thought we were going to get Dying Light 2 or maybe even like Tiny Tina's Wonderland or whatever. None of that happened, and I'm kind of surprised. Waiting to see for maybe those will drop or something. That'd be great.
Yeah.
By the time it's the end of the year, those deals I would think would cost less money for Xbox or Microsoft to get. So maybe something like that will drop too.
Yeah. I'm with you. It is funny you mentioned that because I was just about to say that that in early 2022, people were all like, "Oh, is Elden Ring coming?
Right, exactly.
Surprise drop or Dying Light and all these games, Tiny Tina, something like that. Is that gonna come?" And it didn't happen. And then so if I look at the end of the year, Game Pass, it maybe outside of a Plague Tale, which I definitely consider a AAA game, but other than that, we don't have anything in terms of the bigger releases coming to Game Pass. But this Game Pass really need that kind of deal. I'm not sure, because like when 23 start, they have like in the first half of the year 8 big releases coming to the service.
Yeah.
They
So
gotta spread that out. I mean, that's
Yeah, they're going to spread it. I agree with him. No way is that all coming out the first half. I
yeah,
don't think.
And I think as well, Boxenberger, there's something to be said for the diversity of stuff that's going to that service. So
yeah,
I think that the sort of gamers who are on Twitter, there might be a certain type of game that they might really be psyched for, sort of, like Plague Tale or something like that. But then, my daughter, her most anticipated game is Slime Rancher 2, for example, like easily by a long shot. So I think what they have, I think to your point, do they need it? I think there is some strength in that diversity of the stuff that is going to the service that might not necessarily be for the sort of quote unquote hardcore gamers that are
Absolutely.
online. It will absolutely be for maybe more casual gamers, younger gamers. So I think that's where the strength of that lies, which could be a reason why they wouldn't need to actually go out and say, you know what, let's drop what would probably be millions and millions to sort of get this AAA in, because actually, you know, the metrics that they have internally might sort of indicate, you know what, the growth we see in our Game Pass numbers from doing this, from having these sort of diversity is greater than this. So we actually don't need, I think it's quite easy, and I'm guilty of this, sort of looking at it through a sort of really sort of hardcore gamer lens and thinking, well, what's the big AAA thing? But I don't think it needs to necessarily be that. I think a lot of that is just to sort of be able to talk about it, maybe on Twitter, unless actually is what's needed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does make sense. I also think of this sometimes, like which game could need Game Pass, because Game Pass is a big enough service that you could also think like vice versa, but it's not like what does Microsoft need, but which game could need Game Pass. And I feel like, for instance, a Callisto Protocol is not that game.
Definitely not.
Callisto,
High on Life, though.
Yeah, exactly.
High on Life is a perfect example. I think that is going to be a big success. It looks amazing.
Yeah. And it wouldn't. That game wouldn't find its audience or a big audience if it wasn't for Game Pass. And a Callisto Protocol is like a game that is mainly tailored for the hardcore gaming community, and they are gonna buy that game if it's good anyway. So they don't.
I'm laughing at Siki. I don't know if he's trolling, but he said, "I'm excited for Pentiment. You're the guy."
Well, I'll be honest. I'm looking forward to Pentiment. I mean,
I'll shut up then.
I think it wasn't what I expected when I saw it. If I'm perfectly honest, just and it sounds quite shallow, but visually it wasn't quite what I was expecting. So it did take me aback a little bit. But I'm in. I think to your point, Boxenberger, actually, that's a perfect example of something where I will absolutely be trying that because it's in Game Pass. I can't. I don't know. I would spend £20-25 on it if it released, but it's something I would definitely try and probably end up quite enjoying because it's going to be in that service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know we're talking about Game Pass because it's a sort of more established one, but I also wonder. We've seen Stray launch this week into PS Plus Extra and Premium, and it looks fantastic.
Right.
And it's been all over Twitter, and you got to wonder, could Sony go aggressive with a third party game into Premium or Extra around the holiday season? If you think, I mean, they've had such a strong year, and they're finishing up. They've got God of War Ragnarok, then you've got The Last of Us remake, which I know has been some discourse,
controversial, but
but either way, it's a masterpiece of a game, and it's going to do well. So you wonder, could they sort of go really aggressive and go, you know what, we've got the marketing rights to something like Hogwarts. Does it need it? Probably not. Could they sort of go, we've got Ragnarok, Last of Us, and then we've got this launching day one. Might be unlikely because it's quite a new service, but I do wonder whether they could go that route themselves as well and sort of be quite aggressive in that front and sort of capitalise on what might be deemed a sort of a drier spell for Microsoft.
So, Peter, if they did it with Stray and then brought a AAA third-party game to the service day one, are you going to be asking the question why they won't do it with their own first-party titles?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know this is going down a rabbit hole of another topic, so I don't want to...
Get clipped, Peter. I
fully believe it will happen at some point. I think I'd be happy to sort of take the L if I'm completely wrong on this and it never happens. I think that they're going to end up in the same destination there or thereabouts as Microsoft has with their ecosystem. I think they're just doing it a bit slower and being a bit more careful with it. I think we will see something AAA first party at some point.
You're not going to take an L. It's going to happen. I'm certain of it.
And maybe not next year either. I think it will happen. I think it's just baby steps. We're seeing, do they need to? We know that their exclusives will sell absolute gangbusters when they release. But to I think Jim Ryan's point at some point, even though they sell well in regards to sort of attach rate versus the number of consoles out there, it's still relatively low. You're looking at, a big game might go to 10, 15 million on a 115 million nearly base of PS4, PS5s. So you're looking at 10% attach rate.
Which is great for a first party title.
It is great. It's not Nintendo because they're something else with their attach rate. It's insane.
They're backwards. Their third party attach rates are awful.
I know. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's a long way of me saying I think at some point it will happen. Yes. But do I think it will happen sooner than that with a AAA third party? Yeah, I kind of do. And that might be a bit of a test bed to sort of see, well, how do our customer base react to this sort of game going in? What does it do to our sub numbers? If they were smart and they did it.
You got to try it at least once. How do you know?
Yeah, try it. And you put out an email or a message to your PS Plus basic subscribers. Oh, you can upgrade to extra and play this game. And there's a way that can be marketed, in a smart way to really drive stuff up. So again, it's not as new. It's newer than Game Pass, but I think it's something to consider because they're obviously not resting on what they're doing and trying to push things forward and in their own way. So yeah, I think what happened.
They don't have to travel the whole road either. And I try to and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like Game Pass had to take this road right from inception to where they are now, and a service like PS Plus Extra or Premium doesn't have to start all the way back at step one like Game Pass did. They can start, somewhere in the middle because a lot of that ground for things has been broken already, and the path has been paved a little bit.
Okay, do you think that there is a future where? So there've been rumors of PlayStation working on a PC app. Their own launcher on PC. So do you think there is a future where they have cross-buy in that respect? So you can buy a game once and you can access it through the PlayStation PC app and your console. Again, moving closer towards that sort of cross-play, cross-platform work that Microsoft's been doing.
I hope. I want that. I think a lot of the numbers and the research shows that there isn't as much overlap as people say, like the big damage control for when games from Sony started going to PC was that, they're always going to do it 2 years later because they want that person to buy it on a PS5 or be forced to buy it on a PlayStation, and then 2 years down the road be able to buy it for their preferred platform, and then Sony gets everybody to double dip, and it's hard to try to explain to them that that's the minority of cases.
Yeah, I agree. I think the overlap is highly exaggerated. So I totally agree. I think it's going to get closer and closer and closer with PC releases. And I hope what Pete said with the just like Xbox has their ecosystem back and forth between Xbox and PC, I would love to see PlayStation do the same thing. And I think it's coming. It's just going to take much longer than we want it to. It always does.
Might be by design too. It's like Sony is taking one step at a time to figure out if this is the direction they want to move in. So I'm happy that they continue to try these things. And I'm happy for it to be different than the way Xbox is going about it, because then there's competition in like models. And then as a consumer, you can kind of sit back and say, which one do I like better? And then Sony will take that as feedback. They're making moves, and I'm okay with the pace that they're doing it. I'm very happy with it too.
Yeah. I agree, and actually, I've put it out on Twitter before. I'm sort of hoping to get a PS5 in the next sort of few months, and that extra tier for me, I'll sub to that, because there's a few games I've missed out on in the PlayStation ecosystem, because I had a PS4 and it died, and then I was going to get a Pro, and then the PS5 was announced. Oh, I'll wait for the PS5, and then that was hard to get. So so on and so forth. So that extra tier for me for at least a few months. It's going to be fantastic. To sort of,
I went premium tier for the same reason. I don't think I'll keep that, but that the classics catalog is pretty cool.
It is a really great way to catch up on Sony games. Pretty
especially
much.
If you missed it out. I was very hesitant actually to upgrade. I have the PS Plus base subscription for like another 11 months or so when the service launched, and I was like, I bought all the exclusives on the PlayStation that I enjoy and played them already. So there's really not that much in the service for me. But when Stray dropped, I was like, okay, do I pay $30 or I was able to upgrade for $35 for the rest of the year? So I did that because I think like that's definitely something I will get my money's worth.
Man, they botched that upgrade path hard.
Yeah,
I wish they'd done that differently.
Yeah, true. And it's like, I think Stray is a good example for Sony to see how successful a game can be.
Yeah, that's testing the waters.
Yeah, like day one drops. It worked with me. They have one.
That's right. They got you.
Yeah, they got me. So, and now I definitely did download a couple of other games that I wouldn't have subscribed for, obviously, but now I'm, of course, if I have the opportunity, I downloaded them. Like I'm gonna give Death Stranding another chance. Not a big fan of Hideo Kojima, but I'm definitely willing to give it another try. I played that game for like 4 hours. Those are the things that it's definitely worth it. But like Dave said, I like that they take different approaches, and we shall see. Competition is always good.
Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Gentlemen, we are already almost closing in on the 2-hour mark. So I want to bring up one last topic before we move to the community questions. And that is actually, well, I have so many now I can't decide. We could talk about Netflix and Microsoft and how Grounded is getting a new TV series.
I got some thoughts on that. I'm ready.
All right, then let's go for it. Let's hear it, Rhetri.
Netflix was that?
Yeah, Netflix and Microsoft. We have this big rumor that Microsoft is looking into an acquisition of Netflix. What we can definitely tell is that Microsoft is branching out into more TV series and trying to connect those together again, not in the same TV thing like they did with the Xbox One, but they had a very successful Halo series. Yeah, and the writer of that series, who was also a Star Wars writer, by the way, is now making a TV adaptation of Grounded. So that was announced this week. So what do you guys think? Is Netflix something that Microsoft could extend towards?
Could they now? No.
Yeah, well, not
Can they in the
now.
future?
We are
I think we're
right
referring to like
after
post.
after we
You're
said
talking like
after
next year.
Yeah,
I mean, we
after
know they have the
ABK.
cash on hand. They could literally do it no problem. But I don't want them to. And it's only because I worry with FTC and everything else. I'd rather have them concentrate on IP and gaming IP. I know there's a lot of benefit for them to get Netflix, but honestly, I'd rather see WB by WB as a whole if you want to get into this sort of medium, because I think you get the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? You get HBO Max, you get a bunch of IP, you get comics, you get NetherRealm. I don't know. To me, Netflix, I don't know. I'm not feeling it, to be honest with you. But I know Boom is pushing this, but I disagree.
I agree with you that so I don't think it's an acquisition thing. But I do think there could potentially be a partnership there. So I think at the moment, what we see in the moment, it looks like it's, if we're just looking at the facts, it's just a business. It's a business agreement. It's a business sort of arrangement with Microsoft sort of lending their expertise or their platform to work with Netflix so they can provide a cheaper sub option.
Yeah, it's for servers, really.
Yeah,
to get off AWS and save a ridiculous amount of money. So I could see a partnership happening. I mean, we're seeing kind of the Grounded thing. Maybe if we start seeing any of these shows go from Amazon or to HBO and they start going to Netflix, then maybe we can have a conversation. Like if we start seeing other IPs just land on Netflix, then I'm going to be like, all right, Boom was onto something.
Well, so I was listening to ILP a couple of days ago, and actually King David made an interesting point, which isn't something that I think is outside of the realms of possibility, and that is there a scenario where, not through acquisition but through a partnership, Game Pass is made available through Netflix? Go back to Phil's words when the Bethesda purchase was going through. Anywhere where Game Pass exists, we know that they pushed Game Pass out to Samsung TVs as an app. There's rumors about a streaming stick. Is there a world where they partner with Netflix and actually you go into your Netflix and the way they add the value to that? And again, I'm sort of bringing up what King David said on ILP here, where the way they add value to that top tier of Netflix that is quite expensive and it's going up all the time is actually you get a basic Game Pass sub in it, not the ultimate, but you get Game Pass. You connect a controller to your TV, you sign into your Netflix app, it's linked to your Microsoft account, and you're playing a game through Netflix. I don't think that's outside of the realms of possibility at some point. That's something that I'm sure could potentially happen.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, you bring up great points. I also don't think that. I mean, when we look at the history of why Microsoft got into gaming, it was for them the fight over the living room,
right?
And I'm sure that to some degree that is still in the minds of some executives at Microsoft. So I wouldn't be surprised if they look into this, especially with Netflix is not doing so well lately. They lost like 1 million subs and stuff like that. On the other hand, I feel like that market is right now very crowded. I don't know about you in the UK or the US, but here in Germany, you have so many different possible subscription services you can sign up for.
Yep.
So I feel like that market is, it is really, really hard. And I'm not sure if Microsoft sees that as a potential field where they can grow their business. And when Microsoft looks into an acquisition, it's always about them growing their revenue, growing their business, and them getting into a saturated market that is right now dealing with a lot of competition. they will not see an imminent growth just because Microsoft acquired Netflix. So I think like I don't see them doing it for that reason alone. Like gaming is something that they see that they can grow the market. Like they always talk about reaching 3 billion gamers. If it's not 3 billion, but if it's just 500 million, you have like a market that they can actually grow, where technology like xCloud is something that will allow for growth of the gaming market. And I don't see that in the TV space happening right now.
Well, there is something to say with mind share, though, too. Like Sony has so much of the mind share because of their movies and all the TV, like the ridiculous amount of IP and TV shows that are coming out for them. So that can translate to game sales. So there, I kind of fight myself on this, but I do see them doing this eventually. I'm just not sure about exactly the timing. Even next year might be too soon. I'd rather see more acquisitions having to do with games, but I think they will get into the TV space one way or another. I'm just not sure with whom they're going to, go to bed with.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I do think WB is a better option. It's two birds with one stone at that point. You're getting more game studios, which is what everybody wants you to do, but then you also have production and your own streaming service and all that.
It's probably just it probably is just what it looks like, which is just
digital advertising deal.
It's just, we need your servers or whatever it is to do what we're doing with the advertising side. It probably is just that, but it's fun to speculate, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't open the door for a relationship. Moving forward, I think another point. So Satya Nadella has got a bit of a history with Netflix. I think he was mentored by the old Netflix CEO, and he used to sit in on board meetings and all the rest of it. I've read somewhere, so there is some history there from that side. But I think oftentimes these things probably are just what they look like. But
people thought it was weird too that they were going after them because of the advertising side, that they didn't have any experience in this, and that's not true. They bought Xandr, which all they do is advertising from AT&T last year. So this isn't that odd, honestly. Even on the advertising side, it's not weird. So to me, this makes a lot of sense for Netflix to do what they're doing. So I think, like Pete said, it might just be what it is at face value.
I think if the conversation with Netflix ever being acquired were to start off, that's a conversation with Satya Nadella on the cloud infrastructure, and gaming is just coming in on the coattails of like, how do I leverage our gaming IP with Netflix studios and yada yada. To me, it's like Netflix's relationship. I think the article I read, it's like they clarified that this deal with Microsoft has no bearing on Netflix's current in relationship with Amazon Web Services. So if you're going to convince Microsoft to buy, that's a conversation with Satya Nadella on the cloud win from a business perspective, and then the gaming comes in after that, and then we can get excited about IP and new movies and putting those studios to use for maybe an Overwatch movie or something like that. It's like then you can start having those conversations, but it doesn't start with gaming for Netflix. I think that's like the second or third bullet point, where it starts with cloud and how they're trying to build Azure further and further. To me, I would expect to hear more on that before any acquisition. Yeah. And if you did, that's a lot of bank.
Yeah. I've just according to Google, Netflix are worth about the same as Activision Blizzard, so just shy of 80 billion apparently, according to Google. So
which means they're
1.25 Activision Blizzards. It's like,
which means they're going to be looking at paying
more than
100 billion or 110 billion dollars to pull that off. And I think it really makes a big difference if the people sitting in the room decide where they want to go. Are they wanting to do more stuff like the Halo TV show, though that didn't maybe pan out super well to us gamers? I know there was some mixed opinions on that.
Paramount liked it though,
but it did an amazing
their numbers
job
were good.
So
I think a partnership would work. Sorry, I thought you.
No, you're good. I was just gonna say Xbox is gonna be tired at some point though of paying somebody to do that versus just having their own production studio. If it's going to become,
I have to disagree with that. I think, I'll respectfully disagree. I think you could be right. There could be an acquisition there. Microsoft has certainly tried things like this before. I think developing TVs and movies is a type of discipline in an industry that's just wholesale different than video games. How many? I don't know the answer. How many examples are there of someone trying to branch out and do that? It makes financial sense from like, hey, why am I going to pay someone to do this? We're a $1 trillion company. To me, that's an example. I think Warner Brothers tried to go down the developer route. They're backing out. Those two things, there's more failures than there are successes, I guess is why. So maybe I shouldn't say I disagree. What I should say is if I'm betting my $100, I'm betting that those failures are going to weigh over. And you do want to have that discipline where Microsoft went to Paramount, they went to Showtime. I would like the idea of them partnering with some of the studios to develop more things with Paramount and Netflix. I would feel more confident that the show's going to be good than Microsoft saying, we're just going to do it ourselves. It's like, I don't want it.
I got you now. That's not what I meant.
I would like before they would work on that. Go ahead, Astreis. Sorry.
No, you're good, dude. I apologize. What I meant, not Microsoft trying to branch down that road by themselves, but versus having to do a new deal with Netflix or WB or whoever every time they wanted to make a movie or a TV show having to do with one of their IPs. That would be a reason for an acquisition of something like that. Now they have this whole production team and they have all those people that know how to do all that stuff. And Phil or Satya or whoever can just say, hey, we want a Gears movie.
So can I ask a question on the back of that to you folks?
Absolutely.
So Boxer, Astreis, Microsoft started Xbox One focusing on video. If they made an acquisition of a company that has studios for TV and movies, how do you, Microsoft, I've heard Paul Thurrott on his very critical of Microsoft's communications. Box, I've heard you say Microsoft is not one of their strengths. I don't know why. I don't know who manages that team. Maybe it's really, really difficult and I'm underestimating it, but that is going to have to be communicated in a certain way to ensure all of this gaming goodwill that we've created with where they're at today is not even like, how do you communicate?
Good luck finessing that. You're not finessing that one.
You need a lot of finesse. You better go to the shower, get all the shampoo because you're going to need all that finesse. Just whip it up like a lemon meringue pie. You're going to need all of it.
That sounds like somebody else's job.
I don't want that job. No, thank you.
It is definitely they have to pay attention to not associate it to Xbox, but to Microsoft as a company. But it is something to think about. Also with the way how Microsoft, or into which businesses Microsoft is looking into right now, like obviously cloud, Azure is a big part for Microsoft right now. In that sense, it would kind of make sense to partner with a Netflix. That's definitely where the service could benefit something from. It's not like it doesn't make sense. To me, it's really like when you spend like $100 million or something like that for Netflix, at the end you kind of have to see in a reasonable time frame that you kind of make that money back and make a little bit more back than you invested. And I just don't see that happening in that space right now. We shall see. But guys, we are closing in on 2 hours, and I want to spend a few minutes on some very cool community questions. So if you guys don't mind, I would just move over the show to the community questions.
Let's do it.
All right, there we go. You guys know that each and every week you can write in questions, community questions. So even if you can't make it live to the show, you can put your questions up either on Twitter or YouTube. I usually put those posts up on Wednesdays, a day before the show. And each and every week we get so many great questions. I know some of you guys have also put out. Dave, you have been busy. You've basically post every week a question for the community question.
I'm a fan. Here I am. I'm not even going to apologize for it.
No, I love them. I love them. So this week, we have a couple of questions on topics that we already touched upon, but they put some real cool spin to it. So Jonathan Smith writes in, he says, "Hey Box, after seeing the financial impact on CD Projekt Red from Cyberpunk 2077, relative failure, will video game industry investors respect the game development process and the proper time developers need, or will we continue to have them pressured to deliver on static deadlines?" So, we talked about this briefly earlier when we talked about CD Projekt Red, but yeah, do you think Cyberpunk is one of these examples that changed like investors look at the video game market? And
I don't think an investor's responsibility is to invest their money as best as possible. And an investor has every right to demand results. Because if I'm investing my money in a 401k account and that invested in CD Projekt Red, at some point I want to retire. There is a layer between the investors and the developers, and that management's job is to protect the creative ideas to flourish. And it's the management's responsibility to protect and cultivate that and to answer to the investors. It's not the developers directly. And in that environment, I would expect Microsoft management, who's now owning 23 studios and more coming, to create that. I mean, like hell-bent on creating that nurturing environment and say, hey, we are going to set a target, whether it's a semi-annual target, like we need you to deliver this game by the end of 2023. But I'm more concerned with the game being good. And in that sense, the word static makes me nervous. I don't like it. But the investors have every right to ask for that because they're the ones investing in a company. Yeah, if I invested in a company, I would want results. Otherwise, I'll invest somewhere else.
That is true.
As an investor, though, you got to watch out because when you push the companies too far to deliver too quickly, you end up kicking yourself.
Empathy. Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's the right approach.
And that's what keeps happening over and over again. It's been happening for 20, 30 years. And I'm just like, are these guys ever going to learn that even a 6 months difference, of getting the game out will benefit? Yeah, you're not going to get your record profits this year, but it's going to make it up in 6 months on the back end on the next year. I don't know. I got no faith in the big wigs not pushing these guys. I got faith in Microsoft. Everybody else, I don't. To push them to deliver maybe too soon.
Yeah,
I think that we actually have already seen a bit of an impact from Cyberpunk's fallout. I mean, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention in previous years, but it feels like we've had delay after delay in the last couple of years. And I know some of that obviously is as a consequence of the pandemic and what have you. But I think you see the sort of stink around the launch of Cyberpunk, and now what we spoke about today, their stocks dropping as well. I think that it definitely has shifted priorities, and I think developers are probably more likely to delay something now so as not to launch in that state. And I guess that kind of is where you might see a difference between independent developers and the ones that are owned by these big publishers. And I don't think that everything should be consolidated at all. I think there's definitely strength in having some independent developers in the market still doing their own thing with their own engines and keeping that diversity there. But I also think one strength from a potential strength of being owned by a bigger company and a bigger publisher is that you might have that that pressure eased a little bit and not need to squeeze something out by a certain date to make sort of your shareholders happy potentially. But again, it's not guaranteed. It's just it's something that I'm trying to look at the pros and cons of both, and I think it's one of those things where it's a bit grey. There's strength on both sides. Yep. I think of Double Fine as an example, who've come out and said that after they got acquired, they were given the time to make these adjustments and changes, and they added boss battles back in or something like that. And what came out was probably my game of the year, pretty much in the year it launched. So yeah, I think we've seen the impact of Cyberpunk, and I think developers are less likely now to release a broken product.
Yeah, I agree there. I think we have seen a shift, and like you said, a couple of things are definitely related to the pandemic, but that's not all. Because I think I said it earlier, CD Projekt Red really was the darling of the community. And maybe, I don't know, from an investor's perspective, like Dave said, if I'm an investor, of course I want my money or see a return of my investment, but maybe it also changed a little bit the mindset for at least some investors in terms of it's not a short-term return of investment, but more of a long-term a return of investment if I invest in video games. So yeah, I think Cyberpunk is definitely a game that had impact on the release schedules. But I want to move over to another question. Bavari90 writes in and asks, hey, what's everyone's current GOTY? Have a great podcast.
I'll just get it out of the way. It's Elden Ring.
It's
I'm
Elden
done.
Ring. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, enough said.
All right. Astreis?
It's my first From Software game I've ever played.
Okay.
Me too.
I think that was the same for someone else here. Was it you, Rhetri, your first From Software game?
My first one
It is
ever.
my first
and
one.
it's
I wasn't
perfect.
going to get it. I got caught up in. This rarely happens to me, but I got caught up in the FOMO of that game.
Yep, me too.
Same.
It was, and I wasn't going to buy it. I thought, no, not for me. I've actively avoided Dark Souls games before Elden Ring, and I bought it, and it's probably in my top 5 games of all time.
Me too.
At this point, it's a generation-defining game. I don't think I know that there's talk could God of War Ragnarok beat it, and I think God of War Ragnarok will be an incredible game, but I don't think it's going to hit the same way as God of War 2018 did, because that hit so hard because it was such a departure from what God of War was.
Yeah, it's not fresh anymore.
I do want to add one thing to Elden Ring before I forget. Elden Ring proves you do not have to have the best graphics. The end. You know what I mean? You don't. It doesn't. It's just beautiful. The art direction
was stunning.
Sets it apart.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, the art direction was stunning. I spent 220 hours playing it, and I got every achievement on it. And I honestly,
round of applause for Peter. That's awesome.
It consumed me for the best part of 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I would be shocked if it didn't win Game of the Year.
I think it will win Game of the Year. It's not mine, but I will let the panel continue first.
No, mine's Elden Ring as well. I think
Elden
the
Ring.
only thing that's that will probably come close, as far as like the industry is concerned, is Ragnarok. I'm personally hoping that High on Life is every bit as good as I think it will be. That may reach a new high personally for me, but we'll see how it goes. But Elden Ring was sorry, as close to it was just a wonderful experience, and easily the most like widely spread From Software game. You know, we've got 2 people on the panel, or 3, that said it was their first From Software game. You know, and I heard that story consistently, and it wasn't always positive. You know, people said that they had always avoided it, and then got Elden Ring, and now they know why they avoided it. But you know, it is what it is. I loved that they kind of beefed up the cooperative experience, even though not at all traditional, and I think that threw some people for a loop. But man, that game is good.
It took over Twitter. You know, for a couple of months. The entire, seemingly, or at least all the ones I follow and look at, everything was consumed by Elden Ring. It was everywhere, and it was wonderful because, and I think part of that is because it was multi-platform. Unfortunately, if a game like that comes out as an exclusive, you always get a bit of the console war nonsense get in there. But the fact that it came out on everything, it was loved by everyone. it was actually fantastic. Just seeing the community share their experiences. Oh, I've just got to this boss. Oh, I beat.
So many videos of enemies being felled on Twitter.
Yeah.
And you're like, yes,
yeah,
you
there's
did
a
it.
lot of funny,
Wonderful.
meany moments in that. It was really great.
It was excellent. It's for me. It's my game easily.
I can absolutely understand. Dave, for you as well?
Yes, sir. Right down the line.
Yes.
We're so boring.
Well, then I have to bring a fresh wind to this conversation.
Go box, what you
it's
got?
not that I didn't enjoy Elden Ring. I did, but I don't. If I think about it, I didn't have as much fun as I did with other games this year already. Elden Ring is a fantastic game, for sure. But it also has a couple of issues that really annoyed me. So yeah, at the end, when I think about it right now, which is the game I had the most fun playing, and I end up with Dying Light 2. Dying Light 2 was just from beginning to finish a fantastic experience. I enjoyed the story, the gameplay was fantastic, that the parkour system incredible, the world design fantastic. So yeah, I just had if I think about it now, a couple of months after I finished both of them, I think I had more fun playing that.
I love it.
And so
you didn't enjoy dying 1,000 times and banging your head against the wall, or
see that's one of my things with the game. For me, it wasn't my first Souls game. It really wasn't. But I took a break from Souls game for a couple of years. I was playing Souls games big time, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1 and 2. And when I became a father, I lost the patience to play Souls games because my gaming time was reduced significantly. So I just lost the patience. And when Elden Ring came out, I had FOMO. Yeah, everyone was talking about it, how great it was, and that it was much more approachable than a Dark Souls game. So I thought, I love good open world RPGs. That's my jam. Let's give it a try again. And the world design itself was fantastic, no doubt. It's not like the Ubisoft games where you have like question mark on the map. It doesn't really hold your hand. But at the same time, the thing about dying, it's not that I have a problem with difficult games and dying a lot, but I want fights to be designed in a fair way. So when I die, I have actually the feeling it was my mistake and I knew what I did wrong. And too many times I didn't have that feeling in Elden Ring. I just died and I knew, okay, now I gotta grind my level up in order to beat that boss because it's simply designed in an unfair way. Or even in regular levels, it's not just boss fights. You walk around a corner and there's this like griffin and you
get smashed. And it one shots you and you lose like the progress of runes of the last 30 minutes, and there is simply no way you could have anticipated that happening. So
you just don't go there again.
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
True, but then I think like that's not what I want in a difficult game. I want like a difficult game needs to tell me exactly, okay, this was my fault. I did something wrong, and that's because that's the reason why I died. And too many times I didn't have that in Elden Ring. And towards the end of the game, it kind of felt repetitive. And I know Elden Ring fans don't want to hear that, but like after the third area, like every dungeon was the same. The bosses got repetitive. They literally, like, how many Magna Worms did you fight in that game?
Or the dungeon watchdogs.
Yeah.
So watchdogs.
That's just that. These are the things that when I think about it, it was good. I enjoyed it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent like I think 85 hours or so it took me to beat that game. It's really not that I didn't enjoy it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent that much time in it. But at the end, if I think about it, I just had more fun playing Dying Light. And yeah, I think like I want to put this out to you guys. Is there a game you could see this year? You mentioned God of War. Is there a game like Hogwarts that could change your mind on it, or let's say, I don't know, Gotham Knights or a Plague Tale Requiem?
I would
Do you
love
see
to
any
see a
chances?
Plague Tale Requiem get some
Yeah.
recognition. Do I think it's going to do the same thing for me as Elden Ring did? I'm not sure. To your point there, my experience was opposite from yours with Elden Ring. I actually felt like every death was my fault, which is why I kind of liked it, because I felt like, I know what I did wrong there. But I'd love Plague Tale Requiem to be recognised, because the first game was an absolute gem that I got to late, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it would be nice if something that's, for a fact that Elden Ring is going to be up for Game of the Year nomination.
Yeah.
God of War Ragnarok will definitely be. I'm almost certain it will be. I would like to see a game that isn't already known to be, we know it's going to be. I'd like to see a game like that actually get nominated and be in the running, because it would be, I almost wouldn't even mind if a game that's lesser known and maybe a bit from an indie developer won it. In the veins of, It Takes Two winning it last year was great.
Right.
It was
High on Life, baby.
Or even that.
That's what I want to see.
Even though I think Elden Ring will win it, and even though Elden Ring is probably still to be my number one, I would love to see another game at least get the nod.
Peter, I think you're right there. I think Requiem has all the stuff. It's going to be a high quality third person action adventure game. From the look that we saw not that long ago, the combat looks overhauled, and I know that was kind of a shallow mechanic in the first game. It's going to have a gripping story. I have no doubt. The first game was incredible with narrative. So I think, if the first game was a 7 or an 8 in your opinion, I think they'll crank it up to 11 for everything on Requiem. It's got a really good chance to be a great game.
It was a 9 out of 10 for me, that game. The first one was a genuinely fantastic experience. And can I just say really quickly, it's really cool that we've got nearly as many likes, about more likes that we have actually watching at the moment. Which is
I've been pushing hard.
Thank you. Everyone who's watching, it's really appreciated, because this has been awesome. So thanks for liking.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for mentioning it. It's really rare that we have that. We had already peaked at 85 viewers. We have now around about 60 live viewers in the chat, and we are
everyone.
at 66.
Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah,
that is fantastic.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah, really appreciate it, guys. Let's bring it to an end with one last question. And that comes from Siki. He's also very active here in chat. Man, thank you for the great game. Great question. He asks, guess 2 games from Xbox first party which will be released in the second half of 2023.
Oh, boy.
So that is basically, let me say, give this as a constraint. We assume that everything that they have shown actually comes out in the 12-month window. So I won't allow, like, Starfield is getting pushed to the second half. What do we see in the second half?
Can I lead this one, Boxenberger?
Yeah, sure.
So I wanted to start it off by saying a lot of people didn't like the 12-month window for the Xbox show. And I think part of the reason for that was because of us mainly already knowing what was going to be coming out in the next 12 months. There wasn't a lot of surprises there. I think if they continue to keep that format in June of 2023, like, a lot of that stuff is going to be surprises that we're going to get to see. As far as what happens, then we could get an extended gameplay preview of Avowed, and then they're going to say, fall 2023, because I think that's a possibility. I remember actually watching an older video of yours, Boxenberger, that you thought Fable was going to be coming out a little bit sooner than it could. I think that's absolutely a sneak possibility for second half, since being in development since 2017. I wish I knew more about where Hellblade 2 is at. That might be my most anticipated first party game, and every time I see it, my jaw drops. But then they'll show, like, these little snippets, and the oh my gosh, I already forgot his name. Their studio head will be like, "Well, we're just finished out building out a small
Tamim
piece of the game."
Antoniadis.
That's right. Yeah,
That's right,
Tamim.
a chunky slice, like a Chicago
Yeah, that's what
style
he.
pizza.
Yeah,
Chinese slice.
and then we're gonna go about building out the rest of the game. And I was like, "So we talking 12 months, 5 years? Where are we at?" Like,
Yeah.
I just want to
know
play
what
your
you mean.
game.
Yeah.
I'm right
Then-
there too. I think Avowed comes out in November of next year. I just think it's a prime spot for that game, or I'm just wishing and hoping really. And I think, I don't know, I'm going to say Hellblade 2, but that one I feel way more shaky on. So I don't know. Definitely Avowed though. I'm feeling good about that one.
Avowed. Yeah.
I agree. I think Avowed will be next year, second half. This is probably unlikely, but I'm going to say it anyway. I wonder whether Indiana Jones could hit the second half of next year. The film's out in the summer of next year, and you've got, again, we go back to our previous point. Yes, they'll delay it if they need to. I'm certain of that. If they'll delay Starfield, and if they delayed Halo, they'll delay that unequivocally. But
Is Wolfenstein 3 not a thing? Like, what have they been doing for all this time? If there's an announcement for indie, and then
I wish. I think it is a thing, but I think it was a thing that got put on hold when the Indiana Jones thing happened. I think Wolfenstein. I think it is, and I can't. Wolfenstein 2 is an incredible first-person campaign, but I think Indiana Jones took precedent because I think the plan would have been to try and release it at least in the window of the movie, which I'm sure again was a plan for Avatar before that got delayed. And to be fair, the last thing that studio worked on, as far as we're aware, was Youngblood, which was, I want to say, 18, 19.
Yeah, but that was just the support. They
Exactly.
didn't have the lead on that.
Well, that's it. So they could have potentially been working on Indiana Jones by the time it gets to summer of next year, end of next year.
Fair enough.
5 years.
That would have been 2017 though, right? So that means they
it.
got the indie deal a long time ago.
Well, they might have done. Yeah, we don't know when that was struck. There's so much we don't know, but let's assume the indie deal was. We know that Todd Howard said he's wanted to do it for a while. I think he said that. So let's if we run with the assumption that that was agreed upon not long after their last project, they could
I hadn't
potentially
thought about it that way.
5 years working on it, and it lines up with the movie. So Avowed and Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Is that exclusive though? I don't know.
Yeah.
I forgot to say Compulsion's game. That's the only one I really
Feneros brings that up in chat as well. The Compulsion game. Yeah, a Compulsion is like, I would have to look it up, but I think it's also like 5 or 6 years already working on that game.
They hired like crazy and got a new building and everything.
Yeah. So that's definitely a possibility there. I think like a Hellblade 2 is something that actually could come out that year. I think there is a reason why Xbox announced that game along with the console, because they thought they can develop that game out fairly quickly. Because it is a small team, it is an agile team, it is an efficient team.
How small and agile work out?
Yeah, then the pandemic hit, and we touched on that earlier. That games that are very heavy on mocap and very heavy on like audio recording and all these things were hit pretty hard by it. But they've consistently talked about that game 2019, in 2020, and in 2021. They've consistently talked about that game, shown something from the game, and so I think like 23 is that kind of window where I could see that come out. I want to say Fable. I definitely want to say that because
I want you to say it too.
Yeah, it's like if you look at at how long Playground has been working on that game.
And they're still hiring for it.
And they're still hiring like base positions. So I have to admit, I'm probably wrong with a lot of my expectations that I put out 6 months ago, a year ago, where I said like, that's a candidate actually for 2022, if you think about it.
Mhm.
We know that they worked as early as January 2017 on that game. So, yeah. Nevertheless, not coming next year. I think that's a 24 title. I have two others. Avowed is definitely one. But then we feel like really weird things about it. And I'm not saying it's in any way, shape, or form in a development hell. And people always like to put everything to doom and gloom, and that's not it. But I think like Avowed is really an ambitious game, and they moved over to Unreal 5, and we heard that they are looking into ways in how to differentiate themselves a little bit more from Skyrim. They just so yeah, I'm not sure. I also want to mention ItTech. ItTech,
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Good point.
a very, very consistent studio.
Yep.
And it's been a while already.
Yeah.
In 23, if we think about it,
Quake, baby.
it'll either be Quake or the next Doom, whatever comes out first. But
I'm gonna check that. I thought it was confirmed to be another Doom game.
it's confirmed that they are working on a new one. I'm just saying.
No way. It's not going to be eventually.
Yeah, we don't know whether they prioritize Quake, the Quake reboot, or
should
or
be
the
Quake
Doom.
though, man. Like, why are you still having QuakeCon? Like,
Yeah,
flip between the two of them. That's what I think, at least. I just want
Yeah,
them to bring it back. I'm being greedy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Papa Phil's cash bag now too. Make 2 teams.
Right? Exactly. Bingo.
On the topic of IdTech, I would really like to see their engine get utilized across some internal studios at Microsoft. I think they've got a fantastic, and I know everything is all Unreal, and it's an amazing engine. Don't get me wrong, but I think IdTech, the engine is fantastic. So I would
totally agree.
See them working with other internal studios now to sort of get to grips with their engine, and maybe that can become something that other studios can lean on.
Yeah,
Phil said that at the round table, and all of us perked up.
Yeah,
I think he did. Yeah, and I think in fact he made a bit of a point of it. So I think it's definitely something I'd really like to see that, and I wonder whether actually part of their time is being used at the moment on working with other studios and collaborating to sort of work on that engine, because it could even be sort of like a rival engine to Unreal, sort of internally at least at Microsoft.
Yeah.
It's so performant and looks so good. Doom Eternal ran at ray tracing at 60 frames at.
It was 1900p last gen.
It was insane.
That's
It didn't drop a frame.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And even my daughter's got a modest gaming PC, and I put that on there, and I got it running at sort of 60, 70 on nearly max settings on ultra widescreen. It's incredible what that engine can leverage and with a low footprint.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most technically advanced engines out there.
And Orion, they made Orion 2, which is their streaming tech.
Yeah.
Happy Cloud Gamers just mentioned
they put Doom 2016 running at 4K and 60 frames per second on a cell phone on stage.
Let me put out another one that I hear no one talk about, but ZeniMax Online is working on an unannounced IP since at least 2018. That's confirmed. So I have that theory with like the Star Wars license expiring at the end of this year with the EA Day.
You see Boxerbird look to the side. He's like, "Hey guys, I got a good one. You ready for this?" This is great.
Come on, Insider.
I'm no insider. It's just pure speculation. Speculation.
Sure. I would love it.
But Microsoft is really missing that pop culture IP in their portfolio right now.
Yep.
And we know that Disney is really going out to a lot of different publishers now with the Star Wars IP, and like Mandalorian, for instance, hasn't been touched upon on a video game, and I think like it's the Star Wars is Mandalorian right now. It carries the mind share, and so ZeniMax Online putting out an MMO type of game in the Mandalorian universe next year, I think that would definitely complement the portfolio of Microsoft. Because if we think about, like, we will get games like Starfield next year, Forza, a lot, and even Redfall. Can be played co-op, yes, but it is designed as a narrative-driven experience. So what could they need? They could need that ongoing live service game as something new that is then attached to something big, that is attached to Xbox. Like Elder Scrolls Online isn't that? It's available everywhere, and it's good that way. But I think like that's definitely a potential. And the game designer, the lead game designer, put out on his LinkedIn in 2018, early 2018, that he's working on an unannounced game and an unannounced new IP for the studio. So
and that could have a chance to be big, depending on how big Game Pass is. Then you imagine a big MMO like that would be on Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
Pretty soon on
and launch day one on Game Pass.
Plug it into a TV, you have it anywhere you want.
Right, or streaming instantly, have 30 or 35 million players.
Yeah,
that's really good. That's a really good point, Boxenberger. Actually, I hadn't actually thought about that. But I think you're right. I think an area that Sony's really strong in, and they're leading on it, is getting in with that pop culture. I mean, Spider-Man. Yeah, I think. I might be wrong on this. I think it's probably their best-selling exclusive, maybe the first Spider-Man game.
100%.
I think so too. Yeah,
but it got over 20 million or something like that sales.
Yeah, it's that or Uncharted 4.
Yeah. So I think, and as much as I love Indiana Jones, I don't think that hits in the same way.
As it doesn't.
Spider-Man. I think in a certain age bracket, that's amazing.
A lot of people aren't even going to know who the hell that is,
which
makes me feel really old.
Really
it is.
That no one knows who that is. I can't.
But if you can print like the Mandalorian on the box of the Series X and S,
yeah, exactly.
I think you're 100% right. I think they need that. Makes a lot of sense, actually. So yeah,
we shall see. Okay. So, any last guesses for 23 before we close out the show, guys?
Yeah, so it's not a first-party studio, but it's more stating the obvious. I think Stalker 2, I think if they were to be moved to the back end of 2023, I don't think anybody would flinch. The support we want to provide that studio, it's almost as if we would welcome them to do what they need to do. So we will accept it when you're safe and ready to share it with the gaming community.
Incredible.
Good call. Good call.
I like that one.
Yeah, I agree. It looks amazing. I was. Was it at the extended showcase? Was it that they ended with the video from that studio, and the vertical slice?
Chills just thinking about it.
I mean, they pulled together a vertical slice, which looked fantastic and really well polished, amidst kind of fighting a war. So I think hats off to that studio for even sort of putting together that gameplay demo. And I second what you said there, that as long as you need. And if you haven't watched that sort of last 10 minutes at least of that extended showcase, it's really worth a watch. It kind of puts things in perspective a little bit.
It does.
So
yeah, that was a really strong moment. That really hit hard. Getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Yeah. And I think just like Xbox closed their showcase week with that, I think we're gonna close this amazing show. And it was amazing, and not just because the chat was on fire. It was because of you, gentlemen. I had a blast. I don't know about you, but I had a blast. Such great conversations going here. We could run this show for another 2 hours, and I think we would still have fantastic conversations. And that doesn't happen too often, and especially given that for a lot of you, it's really the first time being live on a camera on a show. You guys did phenomenal. I can't thank you enough for doing this. Coming here on.
Thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to be part of this, and it's really appreciated sort of inviting us to this. So thanks. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it definitely was. No, thank you guys. Really. For taking the time coming on. We have to do that again. It was really, really good. So yeah, usually I say like please, gentlemen, promote your channels. Not everyone here has a YouTube channel. So just let people know where they can find you on Twitter. Again, I have also all the links in the description of the show notes. So if you like what you heard here from any one of these gentlemen, you can find their Twitters in the show note description. But yeah, Rhetri, thank you, man, for coming on. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
my pleasure. I do have a show I just want to promote real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Game Pass Weekly. I just started it not too long ago, about a month and a half. You can find me Game Pass Weekly on YouTube. I'm also on TikTok too for all the youngins and the kids out there. So yeah, check it out. And same thing with Twitter.
Nice.
Exactly. Yeah, man. Thanks again for coming on. Peter, where can people find you?
So I'm on Twitter. That's pretty much the place I'm at. But I also want to shout out. So I'm a contributor for Season Gaming.
Yeah.
I've written only one article for them, since being a contributor. But they're really a great bunch over there as well, and got a really good podcast every week. So I'd recommend giving them a follow if you like good conversation. And yeah, apart from that, I'm on Twitter. And that's it. And if anyone wants to have a chat, I'm always there, sort of sharing what I'm playing or giving an opinion every now and then.
And you do it in such a positive way. I really love that. You can really tell you're a passionate gamer. So definitely give him a follow. You definitely won't regret that. And thanks again for the shout out to Season Gaming. Ainsley is a good friend of mine. We talk on a regular basis. I've been on his shows multiple times. He's been on this show. We know each other for years now. Great bunch of people over there at Season Gaming. Definitely shout out to them. Before I continue with the outros, I just want to briefly say a big thank you to Thanos for the $5 super chat. He says,
thanks, Thanos.
And I can agree, you guys did phenomenal. Yes, you absolutely did.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
No one could tell that you are on a regular podcast. That's for sure. That's for sure. But let's continue with Astreis. Where can people find you, man?
First of all, thank you so much for reaching out to have me on. I really appreciate it. I'm Astreis Gaming on Twitter. Just Astreis on Xbox because I hadn't had a chance to switch that over yet. But I'm Astreis Gaming on PSN as well. But friend me or reach out, shoot me requests or whatever. We'll jam, play some games. I'm all about it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Definitely worth a follow. And Dave, last but in no way least, thanks for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure. Where can people find you?
Yeah, just want to say thank you very much again. Like it has been echoed, but it's deserved. So thank you. I am on Twitter, Dave_Ramos. The O is 0. Someone else already took that, so that's where I'm at. I even Boxenberger's comments. I'm on Xbox. I have a different gamer tag. Heads up, Astreis.
Yeah, you always confuse me with your.
I know.
On Twitter, on YouTube, on Xbox.
Astreis, if you want to switch your gamer tag, you want to do it on the 360 so you don't get that hashtag at the end, and then this way it's a backdoor to.
Nice.
If you want to borrow someone's 360, log in, change it on there, pay the $10. I thought about it, and you can find me in YouTube comments, mostly around Boxenberger's videos, but also Booms and Iron Lord podcasts. And then, if I may, Box, I have a confession. I have no idea how I first found your first video. And when you started talking, it was your accent that I was like, oh, just the accent. It drew me in. Such a basic thing. And then I got hooked, like a Mike Tyson hook to your content because of the way you organize your podcast and your energy. And I just want to say thank you very much. I'll be remaining a fan, listening in the car, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts is where I usually do it. So that's where you can find me. And my gamer tag is Kajmus, Kajmus. And it has nothing to do with Dave Ramos.
Man, thanks so much for the compliment. Really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you again for coming on. I honestly mean it. It was a an absolute blast here. Also want to say a big thanks to everyone who showed up here to the show live in chat. We had over 80 people watching us live here with this community special. It was a blast. We will do that again. And next week, I will have a little announcement to make, because the World of Gaming is gonna get a permanent second host, co-host, and we're gonna announce that early next week. So really looking forward to that. Otherwise, guys, you have a great one. Thanks again for tuning in, and don't forget to game on.
Thank you.